am MC Lyte. I have, over the years, done just about everything. I've been a rapper, an actor, a voiceover talent, a producer, and I've made multiple streams of income for decades now. But it wasn't until I met Lynn Richardson that I learned how to take my itty-bitty business to a booming empire. I'm sitting here with my sister, Dr. Lynn Richardson, right now. Hi.
Hello, hello.
It is so good to see you. I know that I have been a part of your journey with your unyielding message of people getting their business in order. Yeah? So I just wanted to ask, where does your passion come from when you say everybody must have a home-based business?
Whew, oh boy. Oh my goodness. So the passion comes from the truth. And the truth is I failed at everything. Okay, I failed at it all. I was born and raised in Chicago. As a matter of fact, my grandmother was 75 years old, cleaning homes for wealthy people, putting me through college. She taught me everything that grandmamas teach their children. Go to school, get a good education, get a good job, go to church on Sunday, wear clean underwear in case you get hit by a bus. Right? I'm like, why are you so fixated on underwear? And if I get hit by a bus, will they even have on any underwear when they find me? So she taught me all those things, but she didn't teach me about money. My grandmother had an 8th grade education, the wisest woman I've ever known. And I knew that we were not rich, but I didn't feel poor. So if grandma told me, you know, go get some money, or if I said I need some money for a field trip, she'd tell me to look in the room on top of the shelf, behind the box, inside my pocketbook, inside a zipper, wrapped up in a piece of paper towel, is $20.
Right.
Jesus, lady, come on now. How did they hide the money so many times and remember? And so when I got off to college, I did know a lot about money. The only thing I knew was I needed some. And I grew up somewhat as a fashionista. I wore Gloria Vanderbilt. I wore Vidal Sassoon. I wore Jordache. I always had nice shoes with a nice book bag to match. You know, all that stuff. So I had to keep that up when I got to college. Now, I was at a prestigious university on full scholarship. So, you know, I didn't have any money. So I decided, you know, there's a big room the first week of college, and they got all the credit card people around the room. And I decided, I saw people looking and making decisions. I said, oh, I'm not just going to get one. I'm going to get one of each. Crazy, right? So, of course, I charged the credit cards, and I couldn't pay anybody. When the creditors would call and say, Lynn, can you borrow the money? I'd say, can I borrow it from you? I had all kind of funny, fancy answers. As you can see, I have the gift of gab, but it wasn't so funny. When I graduated, my credit was jacked up. My furniture came from Rent-A-Center. And I just was like, wow, this is my entry into the adult world. Now, I am young, black, so-called educated. And here's the problem. I did not know what to do differently. And I didn't think I needed to change anything. So there are a lot of people out there right now who are struggling financially, who have financial habits, financial beliefs that they developed as a young child, because of whatever their circumstances were, or because of their need to fulfill themselves, and they don't know what to do differently, and they don't even think they need to change. Well, that was me. You see, check to check is a blessing. People out there complaining about check to check, let me tell you, child, you're doing good. That means by the time you get paid on Friday, and by the next Friday, that's when you're running out of money. Or you get paid and 2 weeks later you start running out of money. You call Big Mom and ask for some gas money. That's one thing. But check to Monday is a whole nother game. You get paid on Friday, you kick it on the weekend, you pay on your past due bills. Because in your mind, your current bills are not due yet. Can I get an amen from somebody?
Yes, amen.
Okay, so I spend my life helping people understand more money doesn't solve a money problem. If it did, millionaires wouldn't go bankrupt. If more money could solve a money problem, you'd never have a bankrupt millionaire. You'd never have a bankrupt billionaire. So again, I said, I didn't know what to do differently, and I did not think I needed to change. So for everybody who's struggling with this, my message is, and why I'm so passionate, is change comes from within. You have to make the decision for yourself that you are sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I started living by the book that I wrote, Live and Check to Monday. The first 10% of every dollar you get, you tithe. The next 10% you save, and not just for a rainy day, you save for a come up. This pandemic, the recession of 2008, and every recession before it has taught us that coming out of recession, you will either be a millionaire, a billionaire, or a witness. You get to choose. Now, the last recession, I was a penny heir. The next 30% is cash in your pocket, okay? Cash in your pocket. I had to have cash in my pocket. Why? To help you avoid a spending addiction. A spending addiction is what you have when you go to the grocery store for toothpaste and walk out with $179.47 worth of stuff you don't need, talking about it was on sale. It wasn't on sale for you. Now, the remaining 50% stays in your checking account for your bills, and you have one of two situations. Either you have more than enough money, or you don't have enough money. If you have more than enough money, that's not a license to go buy a bigger house, a bigger car, and more stuff. You see, what happens is every time we get a raise, then we go and raise our expenses. So you don't have more freedom. You now have more bondage, more debt, more headaches. So now is the time to pay off your debt. Why? Because there's a middleman between you and your wealth, and it's called interest. And if you are letting someone else make money off of your interest, that means you're not making money off of it, and it means you're working for your creditors. So you want to try to eliminate your debt. You want to treat yourself to a vacation or whatever it is, but here's the deal. If you call yourself going on a vacation, you don't have any money, you're not on vacation. The vacation is on you.
Hey everybody, it is a joy, peace and blessings to see each and every one of you all here today for this incredibly interesting, informative, and just explosive panel that's going to be happening here today. In the vein of what our title is, Strong as the Sister Beside Me. I am your moderator today, Tara Martin. I'm the Chief Consultant for the Hip Hop Alliance and a member of our board of directors. And we have an all-star cast here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to talk less and let these ladies speak more because there's so much to discuss on today's panel today. And again, we want to thank the leadership of the Hip Hop Alliance, our chairman, KRS-One, our founding executive director, Kurtis Blow, our president, Chuck D., our vice president who's on the call with us, MC Lyte, our treasurer, Lynn Richardson, and all of the friends, colleagues, members, and allies of the Hip Hop Alliance. This is our opportunity to have a broader conversation around Black History Month, and particularly the role that Black women have played in hip hop and R&B, how we are bringing our communities together, how we are lifting each other up in our successes going forward. And we're just ready to start the show, as they say. So first up, I want to ask our panel, and again, everyone here is a super legend. So, but actually, before I start it off, let me introduce every amazing panelist here, and then we're going to go right into it. First up, a member of our advisory board with the Hip Hop Alliance, an incredible up-and-coming artist, actress, songwriter, producer of the newer current generation, and who's got Generation Next. Give it up for our sister Billboard, baby, representing Harlem, USA.
Yo, 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 what's up, ladies?
Yes.
How y'all feeling? Yes, Billboard.
Also joining us today is, I mean, if you've got Sirius XM or if you've got eyeballs and earballs, you're going to know who this sister is. She doesn't even need an introduction from me. She is an incredible artist with 3 generations of just records and hits all over the planet. She is a host on Sirius XM with her own show on Rock the Bells Radio. She is also and I'm going to let her announce the good news, but if you guys have been paying attention, she has been added to an incredible list of just legends in December 2022. But she's going to announce her incredible accolade for all. But give it up for our amazing sister, Roxanne Shante, who is in the building with us today.
Well, thank you. I definitely appreciate that.
So much love, so much fun. I'm so excited about this list. Everyone's going to be so wonderful. Also, right next to her is our big sister, our vice president of the Hip Hop Alliance, also being joined by our treasurer of the Hip Hop Alliance. Again, someone who needs no introduction, actress, producer, director, radio host, songwriter, legend in past, present, and future. Give it up again to the incomparable MC Lyte and Lynn Richardson, who joined us today. Thank you, sisters, for being here.
Thank you.
Also with us today, an incredible actress, activist, just a dope sister all around, repping from Nashville, Give it up for Carla Winfrey. Come on, Carla. How are you doing, sis?
How are you all? Good to be here.
Amazing, amazing. And last but not least, rounding off this incredible group of sisters here is our friend and amazing artist, you know, producer, talented sister with such a body of work. It just transcends light and everything. And I just want to give her so much love and love to the panel, to our friend, Miss Nisha Nice in the building. Give it up for Nisha.
Woo! Get into it. Blessings. It is such a privilege to be with all you queens, continuing the flagship, the female movement. We are the beginning and the end, baby. Get into it.
Right, right.
I'm telling y'all, you guys are in for a treat today. This is going to be a wonderful conversation. Get your popcorn, get your beverage of choice, pull up to the screen because we're going to be dropping these gems and you need to be able to catch them because this is a conversation that's going to be so nice. It may not be repeated twice, but either way, we're going to be here with so much love. So let's just get into it, ladies. I'm going to ask a question to the panel and y'all could just answer it, get in where you fit in. But what does Black History Month mean to you? From obviously all the legends that come before us to the work that in the history that's being made today and beyond, I just want to throw it out to the panel. How do you define Black History Month? And what is the thing that makes you so inspired and excited about the future of hip hop and Black history all intersecting? I want to give that, I want to give it first to MC Lyte and Lynn to answer it. If you guys could jump in and grab that.
I think it's a moment really, and I'm going to speak specifically coming from the genre of hip hop and having love for my community. It is the time where all of us who have a microphone to be able to speak some knowledge and wisdom and give of your experiences so that we wind up teaching the youth what it is that they should accept from life, what they should expect from life, and how to really meet life's challenges. I think it's an opportunity in February for Black History Month for people to go out and find not only mentors, but people who are doing what it is that they'd like to do and learn. Study, learn about that person. It was really important for me to know who he was then and to speak of him now. And that's Elder Kurtis Blow. I sang Kurtis Blow songs. I know who he is. And I think that every artist, and not just artists, people in general who claim to be a part of hip hop culture, it is our duty and responsibility to know who came before, know the lineage, know what it is that brought us to this day. Like, I think it's a beautiful time to teach and to learn.
You know, for me, Black History Month is representative of, I think, the spirit and the energy of this entire organization and this entire movement. When you look at the world and how they view power, you'll hear many times that people say that the 7 pillars of influence are religion, family, education, government, media, entertainment, and business. And many people look to dominate one or more of those areas. And certainly we know that in hip hop, we have dominated in many of those areas. But I'd like to say that Black History Month and hip hop specifically is more representative of the 7 spheres of influence that come from God. And the number one sphere is wealth. God has given us the ability to grant wealth, to gain wealth, to enjoy life, to enjoy our work, and to enjoy each other. We've also, the second pillar is wisdom. Hip hop has always been about educating us. Hip hop has always been about informing us about what was happening. It's also about power, using our power to unite, using our power to end injustice, using our power to advance laws that favor us. The other sphere of influence area is glory. Giving God glory, glorifying our women, glorifying our children, our elderly, and then also honor. You know, I've been in many different organizations, but honor lives here, honor resides here, and that comes from our Black history. And then strength. We know that we have had to overcome, we have had to fight, we have had to sometimes cry in our strength. And then praise. Praise is the final sphere of influence of God. And I believe that we are a people of God. And I believe that the things that we face today that we see as problems, I think Hip Hop 50 has been great. I think the next 50 is going to be greater. And I think we give praise to God for it. And that's what I'm sticking to for Black History Month and onward from there.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
I didn't mean to tell y'all give a sermon today. I had to pull out my little Bible and my.
I felt
Yes,
that.
you did. Yes, you did, Miss Lynn. Yes, you did. All right, ladies, jump on in. What does Black History Month mean to each and every one of us here?
Well, Black History Month means to me is that as we look back, we need to look forward. But you always need to, as you're looking forward, you look in the mirror, that's that rearview mirror, and you see all the roads and all the toils that other people have had to pay for you. If there were not for MC Lyte, if there was not for Roxanne Shante, there would not be a Billboard Baby. There will not be a Niecy Nash. There will not be the other women that are going to come up, and each one should reach one. Each one should teach one, because we all achieve when one of us achieve. I always tell young people as an investigative journalist that I meet that the reason that you need to know, they say, I want to be a rapper, I want to be an entertainer. I said, you have to know how to read to do that, because you have to know how to write. You can't just spit the lyrics. You need to know about how our people were lynched and lashed in order for us to read a book. And also as they being also a business person and telling people, and someone had said this earlier about, we were just chatting, you just don't want to have your money and then not use it wisely, because at some point you're not going to be as big as you are, but you will still be collecting checks on what you have produced or what you have created. But you want to share that not only just for yourself, but to help and influence others. And it just always reminds me of, as you look forward, you do need to look back to that person that helped you get your first start, or that person when you saw them on television and said, you know what, or you heard them on the radio. I think I can do that. I'm going to try to do that. And we need to remember the past as we look into the future.
Absolutely. Roxanne.
Yes. For me, Black History Month is a time for opening your mind, opening up your spirit, opening up your heart, hearing the stories that we're not told all year long, being able to celebrate, how great we really are, because I remember being younger and not knowing as much as we know now, because of course we learn more every day, you learn more every year, the more you know, better things are for you. But one of the things that I do recall is my first time being able to know how many Black inventions there were, how I was able to walk with a little more pride, how I was able to say, you know what, that's where I come from. Now, not, going through the group home and going through foster care, sometimes you walk and not know where you come from. So you're not really sure of what your value is. And I learned so much during Black History Month that let me know, like, even if I didn't have these things, this is what I come from. This is what's a part of me. This is in my DNA. I am meant to create. I am meant to be great. I am going to do these things. And then when I would hear the stories of how they had less than what I've had, less than what I started out with, or their circumstances were worse than what I was going through, it let me know, like, you know what, you can do this. Like, keep on pushing, keep on pulling. So for me, it's very, very important, because it's that time where I got a chance to open up my heart, my mind, my spirit, my soul, to know, like, okay, you know what, I am part of something great, even if no one else has told me that. My history presents it. If I look back into my history, this is where I come from. This is who I look like. Amen. So it's only right that I go forward with it. So yeah, it's a great time for me.
I love it. I love it. Billboard.
All right, so Black History Month for me, I feel like it's about our culture, it's about who we are. It's about a history. It's about knowing the history so we know what the future is going to look like. They say it's nothing new under the sun, right? So knowing about who you are, like, I think personally, this is my personal opinion, that you have to know who you are. Knowing thyself is so important. Following your purpose is important, but also knowing the people that came before you and how they executed or actualized their dreams and their goals and how they made their imprint on life is important to know. Like, it's important to know who we are. I think that's out of all cultures, I think that is, like, unfortunate that we've had so many things ripped away from us, so many things destroyed so that we wouldn't know certain information, to where we don't even think it matters as much in the younger youth. They're like, man, well, I do this. I ain't gotta worry about who came before me and rap before me. I'm going viral right now. It doesn't matter. And I think that mentality is backwards thinking, because if you know the history of music within itself, if you know the history of Black culture within itself, if you know the inventors that came before us, you have a direction. It's like a standard. You think you're great, but you find out somebody been great for 20 years prior to you. It gives you a new standard to rate. You got to raise the bar. Your expectations are rise if you know your history. You have a, like Roxanne Shante said, you have a level of confidence. You move with confidence when you know who you are, when you know who your father is, and you know he was a boss. You move like the child of a boss. When you know God, you move like you a child of God. So I think it's important for us to know that we come from greatness. And if you know your history, you'll know that you come from greatness. A lot of people try to tell us our history and it be false information or be part of the story. And it creates this level of insecurity that's untrue, that it's unnatural to even have. So when you do learn your history, the truth of your history as Black people, we understand like how great we already are. It's implemented in our DNA to be great kings and queens and goddesses and gods, as far as our language, how we speak, how we move, our vibrations, our energy that we give out. So it's natural for us to have positive energy and embrace each other with love and hugs and unity. It's natural for us to do that. The mentality of other things of not knowing who you are creates the atmosphere to where you think is jealousy and envy and hate and problems and that pessimistic attitude that's unnecessary. So I feel like hip hop is the core of hip hop, right? Is the core of unity, is a message, is a purpose, it's like uniting through different crafts of fashion and hip hop and DJing and music and songwriting. Like, it's that. And when we stick to the core of what our history is, then the future won't just be, man, I did this on my own. I don't owe nobody no credit. I don't owe nobody no. Nah, when you know your history, you know how many people came before you to create the legacy that you're going to have. You know that it takes a village to raise a child, and you respect that and you move in that. And it naturally creates the kind of, that kind of happy. I don't know what it is. I just walk with happiness because I know like we got a lot to do and we ain't got no time for that chaos. We ain't got no time to not know who we are. So I think Black history is so important to us. And in every aspect, and not just music, is bigger than that. I was thinking about it all day today, like how important it is for us to have new inventors, how important it is for us to have other people other than just musicians that are great and strong and empowered. So, our history is huge. It ain't just music. And we're going to use music, though, because it's that core that brings us together. It's that knit that keeps us, solid. So that's what we do. So we're going to continue to, represent for our history. Let's get it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Miss Nisha?
Yes, Queen, blessings. Speaking about Black history, so we can talk about history. And I love the fact that KRS put this on me. He talks about our story, right? A whole new word, our story, because we understand history. And then we understand how they mixed up those lies and how they manipulated. And then we look at the story of time. I ain't worried about history when I know the story of time, when I know we are the beginning and the end. Like Billboard just said, baby, the language. We can go back to the Phoenicians, okay? When I think about the greatness that we stand on, I think about Mansa Musa and beyond, okay? But when we don't open up a book, we don't understand on where we come from. It ain't about the confidence, it's about the Godfidence, because you understand you are walking in that God frequency. Hip hop is the language of God when it's used the right way, when it's used with the right elements, higher infinite power healing our people. That's what it started on. That's what it has to get back to. We are Black history. We're not just a month, baby. This is a lifetime, and then into eternity, and then into another realm. When I understand my history, I understand my past. I can look at where I am. I can understand where I'm going. And then I can look at what I can create and add to this evolution, because we constantly evolve. I have so many books, but one of my favorite books is by Supreme Understanding. It's called Black People Invented Everything. So it talks about how we domesticated animals. It talks about Everything. We invented everything, not just the stoplight and the this and the that, and the, you know, the few inventions that they gave us in school to make us feel comfortable. No, baby, literally everything. When we talk about the security system, when we talk about literally everything, when we talk about Madam C.J. Walker, we can stand on those shoulders and we can understand the beasts that we are faced with in this present day. That's why it is up to us constantly throughout the music, throughout conversation, throughout sisterhood to continue to spread the truth, because if not, it will be wiped out. If we don't go looking and seeking, then we will never find, baby. So I'm continuing to stand on that. Black History Month means to me that hip hop is Black history, period. It's ours. It's ours. I see a lot of people appropriating the culture, and I see them getting their flowers before a lot of us get it. No, baby, that stops today. That's why cause like this is so important. That's why seminars like this is so important. That's why the Hip Hop Alliance is so important, and it will continue to be, baby, because we standing on the truth. Black history to me is the truth. It ain't a lie. It ain't what you wrote. It ain't what you said. It is the truth. Bottom line.
The largest problem, or maybe the thing that I see the most that really affects women in the industry, is relationships. Sometimes we get into relationships that are not understanding of who we are. If you are a creative person, if you are an artist, there is one thing that you need to do, and you need to observe this. If you look at other genres of music, or if you look at other industries, you'll notice that usually they date someone like-minded. They date someone that is also in the industry. But what you don't see is, you don't see them becoming management. You don't see them making a way to give them a position in order for them to be able to take care of their finances or their relationship. Now, mind you, this is an all-women's panel, so we've been through, whether it's male or female, you've been through that situation where you could have went to an event, but you did not go because you needed to, you needed to pacify or take care of another situation at home. As a woman, you have put that first. As a woman, you want to make sure that you take care of certain things. We are raised to take care of home first. We are raised to take care of these, to make others happy. We are naturally nurturers, but you must take that time out to nurture yourself. You must understand that people say, well, Roxanne, you've had so many opportunities. And a lot of people will say, well, when you answer, when opportunity comes and it knocks at the door, you're supposed to open it. Me, I've always left my door open. So opportunity never had to knock, it just walked in. That's the reason why I still have the longevity that I have, because I never closed doors. I never closed doors. I never closed doors. People could always see what I was doing. I didn't grow up in a house where you could close doors. I went through certain situations and circumstances where you didn't have a door to close. So therefore, I don't know how to close doors. Now, is that a good thing always? Not always, because sometimes you do need to close a door every now and then. But overall, when it comes to my career, when it comes to who I am, the door is always open. So opportunity always walks in. So that's why people say, well, how are you still doing this and how are you still doing that? But what I'm telling you is that emotionally, because we are very emotional, we won't make those decisions wisely because we will lead with emotion. You will go into a room and say, I don't like them. I don't feel right in this room. I'm not going to work with them because I don't like them. Where you should take the moment and say, I may not like their energy. I may not like but let me see what is taking place in this room, because sometimes the most uncomfortable things that we go through are giving birth to bigger things. The most uncomfortable moments that you're going to be in is going to help you create something greater within yourself. I've learned to be around the uncomfortable, to understand that I will enjoy comfort even more once I get through this. And then you also have to understand that everything is temporary. Now, there come a time where you may be around people. I'm not saying don't watch the signs, because see, you don't have to trust everyone with everything. This person, you might need to trust them with your publishing. You may not like the way your lawyer smells, but you trust them to read your contracts because you like the way they read and they negotiate, but you may not like the way they dress. See, that's where you learn to separate your emotions from where you need to go. So I tell people all the time, especially young sisters, I say, listen, there are certain situations you should never put yourself in. And those are the ones that are dangerous and that can cost you your life. Never put yourself in those positions. If you see everybody leaving out, you leave too. If you see everybody, don't put yourself in a predicament where something can get out of your control. Don't do that. You're still a woman. That's still the circumstances. Don't do that. And I'm not talking about just your physical. I'm talking about your career, your reputation, and your word. You have to protect those also. Because it doesn't matter how many times you defend it. No, I didn't do that. No, I didn't. But you put yourself in a position for that to be said. So again, when it comes to relationships and being a talent, we are very hard to understand. And when I say talent, you don't have to sing. You don't have to just be a singer. You can be so talented with paperwork. You could be so talented with communication. You could be so talented where you walk in a room and you could just have on a t-shirt and sweatpants and everybody else got on red bottoms and fancy dresses. And all of a sudden, everyone gravitates towards you. You can have that type of talent. You can have the talent for communication and being able to attract people, and people won't like that. Or they'll see some type of fault in it. So when I say protecting your talent and understanding the value of it, when you get into relationships, the same people that will say that they're happy for you may not be. And you can test this with the little things. Stop waiting to the big things. Stop waiting to trust somebody with your big losses. Test them with something little and take it from there. If you leave something in your car, you come back and it's gone, you say, okay, you know what? I know that they got it. I know that they took it. Don't go ahead and give them that person control over your finances, because you already see what they did with something little. And the same thing comes with your heart. When someone, and this is just me, and I'm not telling everybody has to do this, but I'm going to tell you this is how I am. When someone says something negative about me one time, I put them in a whole different category for the rest of their life. I just do.
That part.
Maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's not the Roxanne Shante way, but I'm telling y'all, I'm well into my 50s and I love my life and I live it well every day. And I'm telling you, the first time somebody says that, now do not confuse this with criticism. Do not confuse this with someone pointing out your flaws. Do not confuse this with someone who has already traveled the path you're trying to go and is pointing out certain things to you that you may be doing wrong. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when someone says something and it gives you that little feeling inside, like the feeling you got when you was little and somebody did something to you, that same feeling is still in you as an adult. When they didn't want to play with you and you sat back and you felt bad because they didn't want to play with you, the same thing is when you come across certain people who may not want to work with you. You have to put them in a certain category, and the catch is you keep them there. You keep them there. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to work with them. That doesn't mean that later on in life, there may not be some ways where y'all will cross paths and it may be beneficial for both of you. So be it. But always remember that. You know, so I myself feel that when it comes to women in the industry, I open up everything. I've always shared everything. Now, you know, I know that this whole thing of hip hop, it started as a competitive, as far as I was concerned, it was a competitive sport. It was to prove who was the best. In order to be the best, you got to beat the best. If you're the best, you prove you're the best. You don't care who comes through the door because you're the best. You don't worry about any of that. That's just you. See, no one else can be a better Roxanne Shante than me. I'm the best Roxanne Shante I know. So I don't look at anybody else thinking that they're getting ready to become me, because they couldn't be me if they wanted to. And that's the way you need to feel about you. So anyone that tampers with that feeling right there as a woman, that feeling right there, that's going to be very dangerous for you. Because your self-esteem is easily tipped. Now you could bring it back up, but it's easily tipped. And anything that's tipped, a lot of things are going to fall until you get it back up. So it's up to what you want to lose. So I just say this much. I've always kept my platform open. Actually, next in March, I'm opening up my platform to female rappers, up and coming artists. I said, listen, I went and I talked to the powers that be, and I said, listen, I've been on here long enough and I want to give somebody opportunity to be heard, because it may be someone that can hear them. They may need to be heard. So I'm going to do that. There was no cost to nobody. I don't want anything from anybody. All I want is for you to be able to display your greatness. That's all I want.
Yo, you know, I saw the announcement that you did on Instagram.
Yeah, I was absolutely. Yeah,
Look, I was fiending to have this conversation with you. I'm so happy that we can have it on air. You know,
yeah, I was like,
anything
listen.
that I can do to be a part of what you're doing, Roxanne Shante, it will be my pleasure. When it comes to this music, when it comes to art and creation, I'm heavily active. I'm outside. I'm performing all the time. I'm directing my videos. I'm editing my videos. I'm doing everything that I could do to make sure I get myself to the next level. It will be an honor to work with you in any capacity. Keep me in the loop, please.
Listen, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And that's the reason why I opened it up, because I was like, you know what? Somewhere there's someone great that just needs the opportunity.
That's a fact.
Come on. Somebody just needs to be heard. And if I'm able to provide that, then so be it. But listen, I love what you guys are doing. This is an honor for me. At first, I was like, okay, so what am I doing and where are we going? Because when you think about women and you think about women's panels, you're not exactly sure. But this was inspirational. This wasn't a panel. This was a night with my sisters. This was a night to actually have a chance to talk, to smile, to laugh, to discuss, to exchange information, and to grow. And I hope everyone that's listening and watching this also takes that from this, you know. So this was wonderful. I so appreciate it. And hopefully Hip Hop Alliance, we will be able to do this again.
Yes, we
Absolutely.
will.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much, Roxanne Shante, for everything. We picking up what you putting down, sis, because all those gems, oh my God. And
Well,
yes, this is going to be the first of many conversations that the Hip Hop Alliance are going to be hosting, particularly in creating these spaces for the sisters, right? Matter of fact, next month, the month of March is Women's History Month.
Exactly.
And it is our goal to put together a conference, an online conference like this, where we could spend a day really diving into real topics and conversations that we as sisters need to talk about amongst ourselves. Sort of like a good ladies first kind of energy, where we can take what we build here today and continue the conversation. And in building out some of our organizing activity, we're going to be launching a women's leadership council of the Hip Hop Alliance. So we're really excited about the future of this work. And we know we're going to have you back for the next conversation, right, Miss Roxanne? You're going to be back, right?
Absolutely, because there's so much more to talk about. I mean, we could talk about, you know, financial abuse, domestic abuse, you know, we could talk about, you know, what I call fame fraud, where, you know, where people are told that we can make you famous. No matter what your name is, we can make you famous. So fame fraud and different things like that. So yeah, there are so many things that I'm sure the Hip Hop Alliance and myself and others will be able to cover, because again, each one teach one, you know, and you should do that if you can reach one.
Awesome. So we're going to keep the conversation going. I want to throw, again, I want to take the same question. Carla, jump in. You know, what is it in this particular industry that women are being faced with every day? What do you think the biggest challenges are? And sort of like what, you know, Roxanne is talking about, how do we as women lift each other up in healthy competition, right? But something that's not destructive, but something that's productive.
I think in the industry, and I have spent my life in the television industry, but also it weaves into music. In fact, I have some ladies that I want to introduce to you all later on that are young ladies, and we'll talk about them later, but they're coming on the scene in the music industry. I think what needs to happen is we need to go back to the old school. I grew up in a family of business. And in my life, my dad grew up in Mississippi, came up to Tennessee State University, to Nashville to go to school, and then started a business. He brought other people from Mississippi up behind him. And it was like, what I have is yours while you're trying to get yourself together. And I think that people like Kurtis is always very generous with his resources as far as making connections with people. And all of us, even if we're just in the business, we all know someone. And I think we have to get back to that old school. Well, just tell them I told you to call. Because that can open a door. Someone standing up saying, just tell them that you know me. And then when you have an opportunity to put on someone who is coming up behind you, or even someone who's in front, beside, or whatever, if it's a sister, you want to put her on. And when these opportunities come, you don't say, well, I really don't know them, because Nisha, she knows when we put her on. Kurtis said, I want you to hear this. And it was like, oh man, this is exciting. This is something new. This is different from, this is positive. And anytime you have someone positive, you should always want to help them, always. And I think we also have to encourage people, because when you're trying to be an entertainer or any kind of profession, really, and especially now when you're young coming up, it's a lot of negativity around, and people just want to see, and I know people don't like me saying this, they don't want to always hear the positive message. They want to hear female MCs or rappers, entertainers talking bad about, calling their friends certain things, words, taking their clothes off. We don't have to do that. If that's your thing, hey, but we don't have to do that, because we have other ways to communicate and other ways to sell our brand. And I think once you get a video from somebody, you need to say to yourself, I'm going to send this to at least 10 people I know. Even if you're not on social media, you got 10 people in your phone at least. You need to send it. I'm always copy, paste, put this on Facebook, put this on Instagram all the time, because that's more exposure. And a lot of times people say, oh, they just doing too much. What do you mean they're doing? They're trying to create something positive in the community and uplift the community. We need to share and continue to share and support. If you see someone coming up and they need something financially, and if you have $10, give them $5. Help them out, make the call for them. Even if you just see someone, hey, a lot of us know people at radio stations. A lot of us know people in newspapers or have social media that are influencers. Check out this person. And on the other hand, if you see them doing something that's like, you know what, this really doesn't align with what I've seen this young lady do, or even your peer do, something must be going on. Let me see, and let me let them know, you know what, this is not what your brand has meant to the community or to people. What's going on? Because sometimes people will try to press you. I know a lot of record executives from the past, and they will tell me that people would try to take people and make them somebody who they aren't. Just show up as your authentic self. What makes you different? What I can already tell, this is the first time I've actually seen Billboard Baby like live, and I can just tell there's a whole nother vibe here. You're not like everybody else, and we need to encourage, we need to correct, we need to support any way that we can for people. If you see something that may fit them, like, oh, they can be on the show, why not? And a lot of times some people have, well, that should have been my spot. Well, it's your turn next time. Mm-hmm. It may be something that you tried out for, and it's like, well, they weren't just looking for my type. Well, my friend, she does this. My friend does this. Let me call. I know my auntie's niece on her other side of the family, she does this. Let me call. And also just that whole encouraging thing, and tell them stories about, just like Shante was saying, about how not to get in trouble. Because people will try to pull, when they see you going like an eagle, they'll try to pull you down. But eagles soar above other birds. So you need to always remember, and sometimes it gets really kind of sad and lonely, because you're like, man, I'm doing this over and over. When am I going to get my big break? Or I wanted to open for that person. There's always tomorrow. And as I always say, well, maybe next time. And next time will come, you're like, oh man, this really did happen for me. So I just want to encourage, don't ever give up. I'm going to tell you a story about something that I did years ago when I was 6 years old. 6 years old. I said, I want to see a Black Santa on a necktie, because I've never seen one. And the ones I finally saw, they were like goofy looking. It wasn't until years. Okay, so I grew up in the 60s. It wasn't until 1999 that I decided, well, why don't I just every year I would say it every year. Why don't I'm grown then. It wasn't until then. And I started a company when I was in New York, after I was working at WABC. I started a company and I said, I'm gonna just keep doing this, keep doing it. And it wasn't until then. So sometimes it's not now, but it's not like never, you know? It means it may take decades, or sometimes it may just happen overnight, but be prepared. Be prepared. Have your paperwork together, have your songs together. Because if somebody calls and says, oh, shoot me over this, send me a link to this, have your stuff together. I see billboards like, that's me, that's me. Have your stuff. Because somebody could just call tomorrow and say, I'm looking for 2 young MCs or 2 artists, blah, blah, blah. Oh, have that link ready and be flexible. Everything you're not going to get paid for at the beginning, and sometimes even later on, but people will always remember how giving you were of your talent and time, and something's going to come up and they're going to say, we need to put her on. So always be generous with your time, talent. Even it's like little girls in kindergarten, they look up to you. Big girls look up to you. People are always watching you.
Yeah.
You may never know. People are always watching you, how you carry yourself, how you conduct business, how you treat people, even at restaurants. People, you know, we got camera phones everywhere. Oh, I saw her. She was cussing out the waitress and she was sending everything back. Just always be gracious. Always remember, God has given you a talent to use, not abuse the culture, and to elevate, celebrate, and continue to motivate.
Yep. Here, here. Absolutely, absolutely. All big gems, all big gems.
Thank you.
And you know, Carla, you are so right about preparation. Because sometimes, like they say, you gotta stay ready. If you gotta get ready and then stay ready. Like you gotta be ready, because when your break comes, you got to have you have to have the media kit. You got to have your links. You got to have your website up. You got to have everything ready to go, because when opportunity knocks, it may only knock once. Right.
Absolutely.
And the other piece that I would even add because I want to jump to Billboard, because I know she's hot. She's ready to jump in. But I think one of the things that I want to really press upon is that as women in hip hop and in R&B, and even beyond this, beyond our culture, one thing that we really do have to really focus and set on is grace. Which you talked a little bit about that, Carla, is sometimes as women, we get caught up in really bad behavior when it comes to each other, right? We want to be loving, we want to correct, but we'd rather correct with a hammer versus with a scalpel, right? We want to talk to young sisters, but we don't want to meet them where they are. We want them to be here to have a conversation at this level, which comes across judgmental. It comes across very crushing, very defeating. And we want to condemn and paint with a broad brush. Oh, you don't, you make your money doing this, or when you rap about this, and you need to be rapping about this. We need to recognize there's more than one way to be a woman in hip hop, right? There's a lot of directions, a lot of opportunities and focus, but we also have to be very gracious with one another, right? Because, we might not know the trauma that sister may have had that brought her to this space where you and her get to share a stage, or get to share a Zoom where you get to know each other in the truest sense. But beyond that, if we don't meet each other where we are with love and with grace, we can't create opportunity for the next, right? So I want to throw it again to, the Billboard to kind of, again, talk about what you think the challenges are. But I really want you to also center around what I just talked about in terms of leading with grace in hip hop and R&B as sisters.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's the beauty of music and expression of being an artist. You tell your truth, you tell your stories. And I feel like not only on the female side, but also on the male side, when we have these young artists that's making music that is reflecting their life, it's not the most positive story, but the reality is that a lot of times with these young kids, these young drill rappers, these young boys, they're not having the most positive life in that moment. Outside is a war, it's tragedies. Their friends are getting murdered. and it's not always televised, and they're hurting, they're in pain, and they don't know how to express themselves. And then they realizing that they could talk about it through the music and make money off of it. So they're being exploited. Their pain is being exploited in a way, and we got to find ways to help heal the trauma. My sister was murdered to gun violence by another female, and it made me angry. And I was blessed enough to come up creating music about stop the violence, stay in school, get your education, don't do drugs, etc. So I knew how to express myself when it came to that. When it came to my own flesh and blood being murdered, I knew that I couldn't just make music about how I want to go back and retaliate. Even though there was records when I expressed myself and I said it's retaliation, I made sure that I emphasized the importance of, like things that was happening in Ferguson and things that's happening in my community, and how Al Sharpton needs to speak up about these things, and how, when my sister was murdered, they put on the front page of the New York Post, it's her fault she's dead. And, I said, how is that so? And they said, she should have known the risk of living in public housing. So I utilized all the different aspects of her death and motivated myself to see it from a perspective where I can empower people, and I can distribute a way of how to express the pain in an uplifting manner to where we can bring awareness to the injustice that's happening around. And I feel like when we talk about female rappers, their story, whether or not they are speaking about unity or they're speaking about how they got the bag because they had a sexual encounter or they was a stripper or whatever the case may have you, it's truth to their stories, and it's an expression of who they truly are. And there are people out there that are currently in college right now figuring out if they should go strip to pay their college tuition or not. So it's truth to what's being said in this music. That's why people are liking it and relating to it and buying it and listening to it and streaming it. At the same time, as an artist, as an influencer, some people call it a role model, but as a public figure, as a celebrity, it's also to be anybody with a purpose in life. It's your culture to evolve and to push each other to evolve. So every Black queen out there, every queen out there in general, I feel like it's our initiative to inspire people, especially the youth, to be better than you were. So while you're telling your story and sharing your truth, make sure you inspire them to be better than you. And I think that from the boys to the girls, we need to all make sure that we're doing that and we holding each other accountable. So that's how I feel about it.
I'm still on mute. I think after all these years, I would know how to use Zoom. But go off, Queen. Go off, Queen. You were doing it. You are absolutely correct, right? At the end of the day, we have to have a family conversation. Old school, new school. We all need to be talking to one another, but we need to be doing it in a space of grace, right? We got to meet people where they are. We can't dismiss people's particular experiences, right? Because as we show up in the world, we show up as our truest self most of the time, but we show
Absolutely.
up not always just as our best selves or the self that we want the world to see. Sometimes the trueness of our hurts, the trueness of our disappointments come out in the world that we are in. And
it's the reality,
yeah,
like,
well,
like,
go ahead,
like,
Billboard, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm so inspired right now. You guys got
No,
me
you
going.
good, sis. Go on.
Like when Tupac made the song Changes, he was like, I still see no changes. All I see is racist faces. Misplaced hate make this like we under. I wonder what it takes to make this. Like even when Chuck D and when Flavor, when they was doing Fight the Power, when NWA was saying fuck the police, it wasn't probably the best message that the world wanted to hear, but it was a necessary, needed message to reflect the times. We talk about art. We say, does life reflect art, or does art reflect life? And it's that conversation. It's like, with art, with our expression, we have to say the stories that people don't think are the best stories to tell, but there's somebody out there that's needing to hear your story. That's why everybody individually are special. And the parts of your story that you may feel like yo, you know, it might make me look like a bad person, or it may not make me look like the best person, or it might show my vulnerability. If I talk about being raped and people might think that I'm weak because I spoke about it in music. No, there might be a girl out there that felt like you felt in that moment, and you might need to share your story so that you can inspire her to keep going, or that you can inspire her to create music that's going to uplift the next generation of people in all aspects, the negative and the positive. It's okay to make music about, you know, I just like Megan Thee Stallion. A lot of people may think it's just shake that ass, excuse my French, music, but she also was representing a college girl that was in college at the same time while pursuing her rap career and making music at the same time while going to college. The song with her and Nicki Minaj, a summer, I don't know if you guys know the record, but it was a record with Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj, where Nicki Minaj said, yeah, my girl is getting her degree. So you can still figure out how to implement positive music within doing your talent as an artist. It's ways to do it. You just got to be creative. So I land there.
No, you're absolutely right. And Niche, I wanted you to jump into this, right? Because, you know, like Billboard says, she's right. You know, there are industries, people, and beyond, right, that benefit financially, politically, economically, and beyond to see Black women in music, in art, in entertainment, beat each other down, talk each other down, you know, murder each other spiritually, emotionally, in so many spaces, whether it's two sisters battling each other in a space that's not really healthy competition, versus two Black women on a TV screen fighting over the title of a Real Housewife, right? You've got these situations where, you know, corporations and others are making dollars off of the degradation and dehumanization of the Black women experience. So, Nisha, I want you to jump in to talk about, you know, what you perceive the challenges are in these industries, but what is it that we as women can be doing better to really amplify and lift ourselves up?
Yes, Queen, this is such an important conversation. I mean, it's so imperative when we look at this day and age. And I was invited on Revolt TV Black News to have a conversation about the criminalization of rap lyrics and how they are being used on trial. And here's my thing. When I look at hip hop, okay, when I look at hip hop, when I look at rap, I'm talking about two different things. Hip hop was the beginning. Rap was derived out of that, and then we created trap and all of these other things where the frequency just got lower and lower and less and less. I come from it, the bottom, the know this, the know that, the, you know, seeing my people get killed. But I had to come to a place where I had to heal. Yes, it's okay to put that in the music because that is your story on what you stand upon. But when do we become more than our struggle? When do we decide to talk about something else? Because we got to understand that there is a system that thrives and lives off of death culture, period. Off of the frequency being lower and lower, off of us continuing to fill prisons, off of the women going to get their body done. I love Megan. Yeah, I love Nicki. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I needed them to love themselves a little bit more. Not to get that surgery, not to get this, not to get that. I got friends, I got this, I got that. I have peers that I know that have not felt that confidence because they are looking at what they feel like is the new example. When Queen Latifah was popping her shit, when MC Lyte was popping it, when Roxanne Shante was popping it, baby, they made it comfortable to be in your own skin, to be in your own body, to be cute, and to be covered up. Okay, so we got to get back to that. That is the solution. We can't continue to think that this system and these platforms are made for our betterment. They are just not. They are wanting a certain message. They want us to be perceived and received a certain type of way. When I turn on VH1, I'm not seeing lawyers and doctors. I'm seeing love and hip hop, no disrespect. I love the show, but the negativity that continues to circle around. Oh, we gotta make it a viral moment. We gotta make it this. We gotta make it that. If I ain't got my tool, if I ain't shaking my rumper, then it don't make sense. And enough is enough. We, as this generation, We have to stand up in the forefront and say, okay, you know what? It's okay to be positive. It's cool. You can add sauce on it. You can add your flag on being positive, on being elevated, on being uplifted. Black men should be able to grow old. Black women should be able to grow old. You should not hear all of this sexualization, all this being promiscuous, being promoted in the, I mean, it is ridiculous. A lot of times I have to turn off my ears and I'm like, wait a minute, this is my generation and I can't even listen to it. It's just too much. So enough is enough. More conversations like this has to happen. The elders have to come down from their throne and say, you know what, let me have a personal one-on-one conversation with you. You're beautiful. And there's more to your story than talking about your body. There's more to your story than talking about your struggle. Okay, let's turn that struggle into a nonprofit organization. Let's turn that struggle into philanthropy. Let's turn it into community activism. That's what we got to get with it, okay? Because we continue to have a conversation that we can sit around and smoke our this and sip our this, okay? And talk about our struggles. But when do we get to a place where we begin to heal? We have to heal through this music. Hip hop was about healing. I don't see rappers really healing. I see them going to an early grave. Okay, I see the women injecting their bodies because they don't even know where to look for self-love. They're not even able to look in the mirror to be able to find it. When will we get back to that? The solution is, okay, when we look back at the history, we just talking, we open it up with history, right? With Black history. If we look back at our history, we can say, oh my goodness, TLC came into this thing, Missy Elliott came into this thing. Oh my gosh, Yo-Yo, all of these queens came into this thing, and this is the way that they did it. You mean I actually have a chance being covered up and having a positive message? See, the thing about it is, right now in this day and age, a lot of young girls and young men don't even feel like there is a way out other than being negative, because that's what's being pushed to the forefront. That's what's making the most money. That's what's being glorified. Okay, that's what's being highlighted. So enough is enough. We have to continue to step on these mediums, use our platforms individually and collectively to let them know, no, there is another way. The Hip Hop Alliance does exist. The United Coalition for Humanity does exist. We are coming together positively to push a message, and you can still do it with swag. You ain't got to be a nun out here, baby. Okay, because we still all like to have a good time, but enough is enough. It is about being able to have more life. And this music, this culture, this death that it is continuing to push to the forefront is not promoting more life. It is just not. And that is the bottom line. I want to be able to live out here. I want my parents to be able to live out here, okay? And the music that we have right now is not promoting that message. So we got to get back to more town halls. We got to get back to more seminars. We got to get back to more of these conversations. Okay, so we can continue to do the work. One person hears it, they can tell another person. We got to continue to start small so we can start big. It will not be in vain. That's why hip hop is 50 years old, because the message is not, KRS is not in vain. Kurtis Blow is not in vain. It's not in vain. As long as I'm here, it's not going to be in vain. I'm serious. We got to get back to that. And for my sisters, we got to hold each other accountable. Sweetie, you look nice, but the way your look is giving off a certain type of vibe, it's not really giving self-respect. We have to pull our sisters to the side if we really care about them. Hey, I like that song, but what if you took some of the profanity out? What if you took all the profanity out? I don't even curse in my music, because I said, you know what, let me swag it up and show people that there are more words in the dictionary than there are derogatory words. We got to get back to being creative. Enough is enough. I'm tired of people just taking the easy way out. I just see people taking the easy way out. Oh, I don't want to work out. Let me go get surgery. Oh, I don't want to talk about nothing positive. Let me talk about deaf culture. No, stop taking the easy way out. Challenge yourself, heal yourself, do the work so we can continue to rise.
Woof.
Say it, Reverend.
Woof. Come on, come on, come on. And I love not beyond just the energy of your words, Nisha. I love what you talked about in terms of we have to choose, because we are being consumed constantly all day, every day, with the death culture, with the culture of just instant gratification, black and white thinking. We have a generation of people that lack critical thought. And now we're in a space where we are inundated by death, by despair. We have to begin to help not only our sisters, but all of our community to choose joy, to choose positive mental health. I'm gonna share, you know, a very personal thing with me. I mean, just like you, just like all Americans, people around the world, we all saw the release of the video of what happened to our dear brother, Tyree Nichols. Please rest in peace, honor and ashe to him, and his transition, his selfless murder that we all saw on video. And there's this broader conversation online about, do we watch the video? Do we not watch the video? You know, I, for a while, really tried not to watch the video because I was really just trying to not let that energy get inside of me. And I knew it would, because this is just one of those things that we see time and time again happening in our communities. But when I finally did get a chance to see it, it broke me. It broke me emotionally. And I had to be honest enough with myself to say, you know what, sister, I'm not okay with what I'm seeing. I do not want to continue and to perpetuate the strong Black women narrative when we know inside we are not doing okay. We are not strong. We just saw something that is breaking us, and it's being compounded with the concept that this man was fighting for his life and being murdered by 5 law enforcement officials. And in the last moments of him being on this earth, he cried for his mama. And the pain that his mom had to see that video and hear the sound of her child calling for her name, and she was only mere yards away and couldn't get to him, that broke me. It broke me in half. And I had to make a decision to be like, okay, am I going to sit with this pain, knowing that we're going to go on the roller coaster of BS when we see the lack of judgment, the lack of accountability that's going to happen? You know, hopefully something will change in this situation, but we've been here before, right? Or am I going to find a way that in the worst situation that we could live through as a collective, as a society, find some joy in my Blackness? And you know what I did, ladies? I jumped on Hulu and I did a whole binge of Living Single. Yes, I'm not gonna lie to you. It totally gives me my age, but I needed some Queen Latifah. I needed some Kim Fields. I needed some Kim Coles. I needed some Erica Alexander. I needed it. I spent an entire 24-hour period binge watching Living Single, and I laughed and I hollered and I did some of the dances, and I laughed when Grant Hill came on, and I laughed with Overton, and I laughed at it all. And in my spirit, I knew that I made the right decision, because as a society, social media, primetime media, whatever it is, we are inundated by death culture, and there is no pause button to it. But if we do not check ourselves out of it and make a conscious decision to say, you know what, I'm going to choose joy. I'm going to choose healing. I'm going to choose peace in this moment. If not for everyone, I'm going to choose it for me. Because I know that if I get in this dark hole, everything around me will be consumed by that darkness. But if I choose that light, if I choose that joy in this moment, I can be a light to others who are who need healing, others who have been torn in half by this video, others who are angry, don't know where to channel that anger, that negative, that dark space. I can be a light. And Black women, historically, tangentially, we are the light of the world. We have always been. But because of what's weighing us down in our physical health, in our mental health, we consume this darkness. But again, sisters, it is a choice. We could choose love. We could choose joy. We could choose light. And I say all that to state, because this is the last part of our panel. I know our panel is just getting hot, but there's one place that we really need to go when we talk about Black women. Black women, we have to become synonymous with health. We got to be synonymous with our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health, our health as a collective. Because like I said earlier, you know what they say when you get on an airplane, you got to put the mask on first before you could go ahead and put the mask on another person to help that other. But so many of us are not putting our masks on, ladies. We are dying of hypertension. We are dying of high blood pressure. We are dying of diabetes. Many of us are dying just because we're trying to bring life into this earth. Many of us are dying because of domestic violence, terrorism that is existing in our community through gun violence. We are dying at high concentrations, and many of this is directly connected to our health. And I want to throw a question to you ladies as it relates to reproductive justice, right? When we talk about women's care, we don't want to just be put in a box where, okay, we're going to just talk about Roe v. Wade. No, Roe v. Wade is one tiny microcosm of what we're dealing with when we talk about Black women in health, right? And I want to throw a question to each and every one of you. And the question is a very personal one, but it's a very serious one. What is the advice that you would tell your younger self, right? Your 15-year-old self, sisters, about how to prioritize your wellness, right? Whether it's your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, whatever it is, what is the best advice that you would give your 15-year-old self, right? About how to take care of yourself inside and outside. And I'm gonna throw the first question to the sister. Come on, Miss Nisha, give it to me. What is the best advice you give to your 15-year-old self about taking better care of your health? Did we lose her? I think we might have lost her. Well, let me throw it to Miss Carla. Carla, what is the best advice that you give to your 15-year-old self about making better health choices in this thing with Black women in health?
I think that's a great question because I'm also a mental health advocate. I've done many projects with mental health documentary wise. I would say I always kind of prioritized, because I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and knowing have different lanes. The one thing that I would say to my 15-year-old self is don't be so serious. Because as a child, because I was the oldest, I was always so serious about everything, taking myself serious about everything. And sometimes you need to be kind to yourself. Everything that you do does not need to be perfect, because if it is, it's like, that's great, but don't just stress yourself out with making everything. It's like, okay, this is good. This is good. Everybody wants their project to be great, but don't be kind to yourself. A lot of times you are just so hard on yourself that you don't even get to enjoy the ride, get to enjoy the camaraderie with other musicians or artists. You don't get to enjoy, sit back and look at the project and say, oh, I didn't do too bad on this. This could get a Grammy win, this could get an award. But everything, just don't take yourself too seriously. Make sure you have people around you mentally. If you have friends that are just negative all the time, you can't talk to them every day. You can try to help them, because really we're only as strong as the weakest link around us. Absolutely. So you want to encourage them and help them and try to pour positivity into them. But if they just continue and continue, and you may want to suggest for real, that they get some help, because COVID did a number on us. It isolated us so much from people. And even though we can work on the type of work that we do, we don't have to be all the time smack dead in the studio, because we got all these computers and all this stuff. But it did a number on us. We were not able to socialize with people. We were not able to have that human interaction. And so it brought us to a place sometimes like, okay, this is just too much. I can't even go out to the grocery store and I want to go. I got to wear this mask all the time. And that can drain you. I lost several friends during COVID, and some people still are having effects. I mean, we're still in it, but some people mentally are having some hard times with the after effect of losing. I know when we were doing the health show, we said when we started, at the end, when this thing starts winding down, we're going to look around and there's going to be at least 5 people that we probably know not here with us. And I actually have more than 5. But if I were, the advice I would give my younger self is enjoy. Set aside something, and it doesn't have to be something expensive. Once a week, do something for yourself. It may be, I'm gonna get me a triple ice cream. I'm gonna go have lunch with my friends. And that doesn't mean everything has to be costly. I'm gonna go hang out at the park with my friends. Try not to just isolate yourself, and try to always, again, put positive people around you. And at 15, if you see someone doing something to you, if you're a 15-year-old listening to this, or a young person, and you know it's not right, you need to let your parents know. You need to tell some adult to step in. So yeah, enjoy the ride.
Absolutely. Nisha, you're up.
Yes, Queen. You know, if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would say, Queen, you got this. Queen, don't worry about growing up too fast. Queen, give yourself grace. I would talk to the inner child, even from 15. I would talk to me at 5 years old so I could continue to heal and nurture that 5-year-old Nisha Nice that may have been disappointed, that went through the struggle and faced challenges and adversity and didn't really understand. But I will continue to bring her with me. So at 15, my mental health and my state of mind would be at a different place than it was. Okay, doing what I was doing, I would tell myself, make sure you travel this entire world. That's one of my biggest things now. But at 15, that needed to be top of mind. We get shown so many different things. I mean, when we think about just the construct of the American dream, quote unquote, oh, get married, have kids, do this, do that, da, da, da. Sometimes that is not, most of the time, that is not a lot of people's game plan or story for their life. So I would tell myself, Niche, continue to do you. You are unorthodox for a reason. You are different for a reason. God created you to be you for a reason, and nobody else can be you. Continue to be a vessel because you have a voice that will amplify the voiceless. Continue to stand on the truth and know that you are beautiful and powerful. Continue to push that message through hip hop because it's going to come back full circle, even when we feel like it's lost. Know that there is a place and a space for you in this universe and for everybody that is just like you. Continue to walk in love and lead in love, and love will carry you through. So I would have told myself at 15, love, focus on love, focus on that word, and everything else will follow suit.
Oh my God. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, and I'm going to make sure Billboard gets the last word on this, because I know she was just 15 yesterday, so she's got some gems that she's going to drop for us. But I would just say in very clear language, what I would give to my 15-year-old self, drink water, drink all the water, right? There is not enough water, right? Put the tropical fantasy down, and just go ahead and drink all the water, because your 40-year-old self skin is going to need all that hydration. That's number one. Number two, I would say to my 15-year-old self, embrace your weirdness, right? You don't have to be like everybody else. You don't have to sound like everybody else. You know, even when you feel like that weirdness separates you from people, that weirdness may be the trajectory of where your career, where your space will be in the next 10 and 20 years. And I know you're going to want to be, to feel like you got to, you know, get along with the crowd and do the things, but you literally were put on this earth with the weirdness that you have for a reason. And you're meant to stand out. So embrace that weirdness. Another thing I would say, every cute boy who's light-skinned with green eyes is not meant to be your husband. He could be a lot of fun for a little while, but at the end of the day, maybe, you know, maybe you want to pump the brakes on having children. Maybe take Janet Jackson's advice. Let's stay a while. Let's, let's before it's too late, let's wait a while, every cute boy with some Jabot's jeans is not the one that's always for you. Um, so there's that. And I think the last thing I would say to my 15-year-old self is pay attention to your body, right? Pay attention to your body. If something doesn't feel right, if something doesn't look right, go to a doctor, right? Whether you got to go to an emergency room, whether you got to go to an urgent care, whether you got to talk to an auntie who's a nurse, whatever it is, talk to somebody, because there are too many sisters who are dying of breast cancer in their 30s, in their 40s, sisters who have uterine cancer, who never, ever got a pap smear. They've never gotten an annual physical. And so many of us were told, you only go to a doctor, sister, if you're having sex or if you're pregnant. And they don't realize that we need to be seeing doctors all the time. If you go to see a dentist twice a year for cleanings and whatever, you need to see a doctor and a GYN twice a year, because that thing that you might not think about when you're 15 because you're having fun and you out here in the streets, next thing you know, you have this horrible thing called fibroids, 15-year-old self, and you won't know how to deal with that when in your 30s and in your 40s, and it can impact how the quality of your life for the rest of your life. So go see a doctor, and do not listen to anybody who says you only need to see a doctor if you're having sex. You only need to see a doctor, if you're sick. No, preventive care is the best care you could possibly get. Because once you get in that 30s, 40s, 50s scene, you're treating something that could have been found and discovered when you were 15, right? So that's what I would give. Water. Every light-skinned boy with your bows and green eyes is not meant to be your husband. And go on and see those doctors and take care of yourself now, because it's penny wise and pound foolish to wait till later. But with that, Billboard baby, I'm gonna give you at the end of this, in terms of what is the best advice you give to your 15-year-old self in terms of women, wellness, and our care.
Wow, that's a deep question. I think that I would tell myself, my 15-year-old self. So my 15-year-old self would have just met LL Cool J, just recorded with him on the Exit 13 album. And in high school, my best friend, one of my close friends, is on Sweet 16. And my other friend, Lil Mama, just got signed to Jive Records and has a lip gloss record out. My sister is still alive. I'm in the projects, probably just performed at some big show and then going back home to the hood. I would probably tell myself to trust the process. My 15-year-old self, I would tell myself to trust the process. Remain grateful, live in the moment, be present, trust myself. I would tell myself to trust myself as well. Trust the process and trust myself. It's okay to say no and be confident in your no too, because the no's are great for you as well. Like, what you feel, and to trust myself when I say or feel that, and that feeling of wanting to say no, trust that, because there's some truth to that, and don't feel pressured by anybody else around you. And also know that you know what you want, and sometimes you have to get yourself in position before you can bring everybody else with you. Sometimes you have to choose the decision that's best for you versus the decision that's best for everyone, if you truly have the vision and the intentions to do what's best for everyone in the end. I would tell my 15-year-old self, baby girl, you a superstar. You already know that, and continue to be great because you already are. And I would just inspire myself to continue on the right path and continue doing what you're doing. I'm very grateful for where I am now. I wouldn't change anything. I would just, make sure that I continue to encourage myself and do more with every single day, push myself even harder, even though I'm going hard. Even though today's a great day, what else can I do when I get off the Zoom call to make it better? So I'll say to my 15-year-old self, hey, I know you're doing great. I know life is beautiful. What else can you do? you got youth on your side, you know, and there's so much that you can accomplish. You know, don't slow down. Keep going, keep pushing, go harder, go harder, go harder, go home, go harder. It's time. Right now is the perfect time for you to inspire as many people as possible, and you're doing great, and continue to do great and push yourself to the limit. Figure out how to learn how to play an instrument, something, you know, something different, something unique that, you know, you can put some time into little by little, day by day, that'll also probably pay off a lot in the future. You know what I mean? Maybe start professionally engineering at that time. Anything that I'm doing now, you know, start my business, my LLC in my own name. I would probably say start a non-for-profit as well for myself at 15 for the things that I want to do when I'm 30, you know, so get ahead of the ball and inspire more people to also trust themselves, and tell more people that you love them, just genuinely, just because you never know who needs to hear it. And maybe you telling that person you love them and spreading love to them genuinely, you know, it might change the outcome of things.
Exactly. Queens, each and every one of you on the call. We have reached the end of our panel, and it's not the end, it's the end of the panel. It is not the end of the conversation. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, this is the beginning of a broader movement within the Hip Hop Alliance. We are going to be doing some great programming for the month of March for Women's History Month, but it's going to kick off a lot of great work. Our Women's Leadership Council that's going to be pulled together within the Hip Hop Alliance, a lot of great programming, a lot of art projects that we're going to be doing throughout the year to honor the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So ladies, stay tuned. If you tuned in to today's conversation and you just love the vibe, you love the energy, please sign up and join the Hip Hop Alliance. Go to our website, hiphopalliance.org. Sign up today. It is free to join. You can learn so much about what we are doing to organize within our culture, within this industry. And I want to thank all of you wonderful queens that joined us today for this amazing conversation. To Carla, to Billboard Baby, to Nisha,
thank you.
MC Lyte, to Lynn Richardson, to Roxanne Shante, to Kamala Lopez. Thank you all so much for your insight, your nuggets. We have absolutely picked up everything you sisters have been putting down. And again, I want to make sure, please, if you are not a member of the Hip Hop Alliance, it is so easy to join. Go to our website, hiphopalliance.org. You can join. Also, please hit that donate button because it takes money to build a movement. And we really want you to hit that donate button today. Hit it not once, but twice, even 3 times if you can. We definitely support and need you to help build and sustain our culture. My name again, I'm Tara Martin. I'm so honored and thrilled to be your moderator for today. Again, there's not enough that I could say to these incredible queens that joined us on this call. We love you. We pray for you. We appreciate you. And we cannot wait to see this entire crew back again for the month of March and beyond for all the great work that the Hip Hop Alliance is going to be doing with this Women's Leadership Council and all the great program we've got. Again, ladies, we are not first. We are not next. We are now. We got now. And I'm so honored to build with each and every one of you. We love you. Stay safe out there, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you again for joining the Hip Hop Alliance's Black History Month online conference. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Love.
you.
Thank you, Queen.
Love, absolutely. God bless you all.
Deep bap bap, shadoo ba da deep bap bap, shadoo ba da deep bap bap, shadoo ba da beep ba do da.
Check it, Freddie Gray, you will never forget, Freddie Gray, you will never forget, Freddie Gray, you will never forget, Freddie Gray. J, Jeremy McDowell, Terrence Crutcher, Eric Harris. The world must know. Arden Sterling and Kai Curley, the souls they stole. The alike without badges, out committing mass shootings. Inspired by the previous, mentally reproducing. The evil, the devil, Satan incarnated. In every situation, all parties participating. The system of lies, deceit, and destruction. The demons that align, provide, and help it function. Real people to other people, how could you? As if you don't have family too, why would you? It can't be great, this shit ain't even safe. When the only thing great is the great amount of hate. All officials should resign, be stripped of all power, so justice can be served, get rid of these fucking cowards. Sandra Bland, you will never forget. Never forget. Sandra Bland, you will never forget. Never forget. Sandra Bland, you will never forget. Never forget. Sandra Bland. Sandra Bland. Trayvon Martin, you will never forget. Never forget. Trayvon Martin, you will never forget. Never forget. Trayvon Martin, you will never forget. Never forget. Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin. Michael Brown, you will never forget. Never forget. Michael Brown, you will never forget. Never forget. Michael Brown, you will never forget. Never forget. Michael Brown. Michael Brown. Jamal Clark, you will never forget. Never forget. Jamal Clark, you will never forget. Never forget. Jamal Clark, you will never forget. Never forget. Jamal Clark. Jamal Clark.
Just before we talk about the future of hip hop and the HHA's role in that, let's spend just a little time, 5-10 minutes. And I'm being disrespectful, but let's spend a little time just on the history of hip hop. While we have Grand Wizard Theodore here, we have Kurtis Blow here as well. You know, the legendary story is that hip hop begins at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. You know, Cindy Campbell throwing a back to school jam, enlisted her brother, Clive, better known as Cool Herc, Clive Campbell, better known as Cool DJ Herc. They go down to the community center. Herc reveals his merry-go-round DJ technique, which focuses on the breaks of instrumental records. He's playing certain records like the Incredible Bongo Band, his staple records of James Brown. He's focusing on the breaks of James Brown in that sense. Some say that from the breaks of James Brown, we get the title B-boy, B-girl, because we're dancing to the breaks, or break dancers in that sense. Dancing Doug on another call told us that the title, the name was always break dancing. They always used break dancing. I heard from others that no, it was called breaking or b-boying. Others say boy-yoing and the go-off. And there's all these terms that go with our art, like graph writing, graffiti writing. You have piecing, burning, bombing, tagging. You got all of these different terms that go with it, MCing, and so on. Can we talk a little bit then about the history of hip hop? I'd like to start, as a matter of fact, let me come to Grand Wizard Theodore first, because Elder Kurtis, you could talk us into, I really would like to hear about the Sugar Hill days. You were there when Russell first started. You were there, you signed the first major recording deal with Mercury Records, and made it literally possible for us. I mean, we breeze over these things today. Like, yeah, so Kurtis Blow signs the first Mercury recording deal. We just breeze over that. But try to think that, on Monday, we had no relation to the music industry, the major distributors at the time on Monday. And then on Tuesday, Kurtis Blow changes all of that with his signing. Wednesday, the music industry, as well as the culture, says, yo, we can sign to labels now? Yo, you mean to tell me Kurtis, he is actually going to be on a label? I mean, this was a shock to us, let alone Sugar Hill Records and Sugar Hill Gang was a shock to us, to all of us. It was a shock that what we were doing in the street was now on vinyl. And shout out to Spring Records as well with the Fatback Band and King Tim III. Let me give them a shout out as well. Let me also shout out, who am I thinking about? Came out in September, same year. Hold on, who's this guy?
Uni G?
Mama.
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye, thank you, Tech. I need some help. No, Marvin Gaye came out with a rap as well during the same time. So it's like Marvin Gaye had a rap early, or in the same year, a few months earlier, or I'm sure a few weeks earlier. And then Fatback Band also had something as well. But we give the credit to Sugar Hill. And what I'm saying is that Sugar Hill shock was shocking. Kurtis Blow on the industry side was shocking. That record, These Are the Breaks. I heard it today. It came on the classic hip hop channel on the cable TV. These are the breaks. And this record, I mean, the beat was so crazy. Look, before I get to that, okay, and before I get to my own homage, because those that can remember, my song, MCs Act Like They Don't Know, it starts off with the classic Kurtis Blow. Clap your hands, everybody, if you got what it takes. And of course, the original was, because I'm Kurtis Blow, but of course, me and DJ Premier coming under the master. So, but I'm KRS, and I'm on the mic, and Premier's on the break. So me and DJ Premier taking lines from Kurtis Blow. This has always have been my opportunity to praise Kurtis Blow in that sense, because I praise him for not only myself, but for Nas. If I rule the world, others drop that basketball. I forgot who that was. Yes. I mean, damn near your whole catalog has been sampled, redone, remade, in everybody's rhymes, this kind of thing. And it's an amazing place to be. Let me come off this real quick, because I'm getting personal and I'm getting emotional with it. I want to come to Grand Wizard Theater and then come over to you, Elder Kurtis, because your influence on MCs is crazy, okay? Is crazy, okay? But the DJ as Grand Wizard Theater, and also Elder Kurtis, you was a B-boy. So I want you to weigh in also on that B-boy section, but come over to the DJ, Grand Wizard Theater, correct me if I'm wrong now, let me get my facts right. So your brother was Mean Gene, is that correct?
Yes, my brother was Mean Gene. My oldest brother is Mean Gene.
Is Mean Gene, and he was managing Flash.
I wouldn't say managing, they were partners, they were like Batman and Robin and stuff like that. And that's how I first seen two turntables in a mixer. I was like, wow, before that, I seen the B-boys in the streets, the B-boys in the buildings, the B-boys in the schools, the B-boys all over the place. I seen the graffiti artists on the train, the graffiti artists on the street, the graffiti artists on the side of the buildings. I was exposed to the other elements of hip hop. But when I seen the two turntables in the mixer from Grandmaster Flash and my brother Mean Gene, that's when the whole culture, everything hit me, that I was actually, I'm gonna use your words, I was born into a culture, born into a culture, into an art form that a world I didn't even know that existed. All I knew was single parent homes, going to school for X amount of years and still not learning anything. Everything I'm learning, I'm learning on the streets, drug activity, gangs, all of this. The landlords couldn't get anyone to move in their buildings, so they started burning their buildings. That's why you look at some movies and you look at the news, all you see is the Bronx look like Beirut, because that's the reason. The city not putting no more money back into the city and stuff like that. This is all the stuff that was around me, you know? And to go outside today and see everything, it's like surreal, you know? And from a DJ's perspective, these are all the things that I was trying to get away from, you know? Like, let me listen to some music. Let me do this. Let me do that. Because all this stuff around me is making me go crazy. I don't want to join no gang. I don't want to do no drugs, you know? I don't want to do all that stuff. I just want to hear music and just be happy and just be with family and just be happy to be alive and stuff like that. And during that, hip hop was all around me, you know? And it was like medicine for me, you know?
Real quick, walk us through the first day you introduced scratching. I think it was in a park, or maybe it wasn't. Walk us the first day the world gets to see it. Did you have the handcuffs on the first day? Walk us through.
No. Actually, it was 63 Park, because the L brothers, we lived on 168th in Boston Road, and 63 Park was 1,500 feet. The schoolyard was 1,500 feet. So we didn't need no van. We didn't need anything. We just got a bunch of security together and we carried the equipment maybe 2,500 feet to the schoolyard. And that's when I displayed the scratch for the first time. My brother Mean Gene put a milk crate in front of the turntables. I jumped on top of the milk crate, because the table that they used was so high. So that's why I needed a milk crate. So once I got on top of the milk crate, I was able to see over the turntables. And that first day I displayed the scratch, all the ladies in the park went crazy. All the B-boys in the park went crazy. All the stick-up kids in the park went crazy. All the hustlers in the park, everybody in the park just went crazy, you know? And it was like something new for the ear. And I just thank God every day that I realized early what my gift was. And that's my contribution to hip hop, you know?
What was the record? What record did you use?
I used Apache. And it was definitely Apache. It was definitely Apache.
Wait. Hold up. You going way too fast. Wait, let's slow down and get that scholarship in. So the first time scratching was revealed to the public, it was Apache?
Yes, it was Apache. Because Apache, basically, the album didn't have any words on it. It was just instruments, you know? And I'm very happy that the Incredible Bongo Band, the son of Michael Vinner, which is the person that did the album, he put me in the movie called Sample This. I'm happy about that, you know? And just like when I made the cassette tape for my principal in Morris High School, you know, which is the same high school that Colin Powell went to and Rudy Giuliani went to. And it's like just trying to be innovative, just trying to be different from everybody else, you know? And that's how the scratch was formed. Just me trying to be different, you know, making a cassette tape for my junior high school, you know?
Real quick for DJs, the needle dropping technique, how did you develop it?
Oh, good question. How I developed the needle drop technique is my mom's had a stereo set that looks like a coffin. The television was in the front. When you lift the coffin up, look inside, you see the 8-track, you see the AM FM stereo, you see the little turntable. I used to take her 45s, play her 45s. Some of the breaks was in the beginning. Some of the breaks was in the middle. Some of the breaks was in the end, like a James Brown break. So I used to play the break, and when it got to the break, I used to skip the needle back, not knowing that as time went by, I started counting when I skipped the needle back. I said, okay, I got this James Brown beat here. 1, 2, 3, 4, hit it. Okay, what if I bring it back on the 2? What if I bring it back on the 4? What if I bring it back on the 1? Not knowing that, not realizing that the more mature my mind got, the more I started lifting the needle up off of the 45, and then the record started to begin looping. And that's how I created the needle drop. And actually created the needle drop before I created the scratch.
So did you do the needle drop anywhere else before? Just like was that your staple performance piece, or was it just for you in the house?
It was just for me in the house. I've never done it. I've never done it on the turntables until I displayed the scratch. And part of my repertoire was, instead of me backspinning the record, I would lift the needle to get the record back to where I want. I could play Let's Dance to the Drummer's Beat with the whistles. And instead of me backspinning the record, I would lift the needles on the whistle. I would count to 2 and lift the needle up. I will count to 4 and lift the needle up. I will count to 5 and lift the needle up, not knowing that I was catching the whistles of Let's Dance to the Drummer's Beat. And God gave me this gift at 12 years old, and I ran with it.
And then you did it by balancing an apple on your head. That must have come later.
Yeah. And I started doing with the records. I started doing with the blindfold, just to, show other DJs that you could be innovative, man. No matter where you live, no matter what you're doing. DJing was getting more popular and more popular. And in order for you to be different from everybody else, you have to do something that nobody else was doing. And that's what I did. Everything I did was for the girls, man, for the ladies, man,
No doubt. The whole motivation to begin with.
Hey,
Man,
Theodore,
yes.
Can you tell us about the battle with you and Flash when you had the handcuffs?
Oh, that was the battle with me and Grandmaster Flash. It wasn't planned out. It was just a point that both of us was doing a DJ set at the same school, Stevenson High School in the Bronx, here on Fordham Road. And it just so happens the crowd put us against each other. We didn't put ourselves against each other. The crowd was like, hey, we got Grandmaster Flash here, we got Grandmaster Theodore here. Y'all gonna do something tonight for us. So he went on and did his thing, and then I went on and did my thing, and the crowd started critiquing us right there from the start. And I was like, wow, the crowd is like putting us against each other. And I knew that my skills was unmatched because I had the scratch, I had the needle drop, I was, still in my teens. I was quick on the turntables. I had a little swag. Well, the word swag wasn't out then, but I had a little swag with mine, and everybody was like, yo, Theodore is like, he's making a big name for himself, and I don't know if Flash liked it or not, but we wasn't trying to blow each other's houses up or see each other in the street and try to stab each other up and stuff like that. It was
what happened?
Competition.
You put on handcuffs though that night, right?
Yeah, I had to put the handcuffs on, man, because I had me and my girlfriend, we had, a lot of things going on with the handcuffs. So I was able to incorporate that into a lot of things that I was doing and stuff like that. So I had to incorporate that into it.
No.
So that's another show.
Hold on, you said you was a teenager, son. What's going on?
hey, man, hip hop exposed me to a lot of things, man,
Yo, we was old men at 14.
Yes.
New York grow you up quick.
DJ S&M, man. DJ S&M over there, man. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, man.
So Elder Kurtis, look, we talked a little about the DJ now. Amazing story from Grandmaster Theodore. But now the MC, and like I said before, we're getting all our lines from you. we're actually grabbing this and grabbing that, we're sampling this, we're sampling that. I mean, first of all, how do you feel about all of that? This is your chance to diss us all, as well as talk a little about that early stage. So you're there at 1980, 81. MC conventions are going on, battles are going down. Hip hop is vibrant during this time, and then you drop the breaks. Talk about the time. How did the breaks even come about? First, let's start there.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you to all the MCs, rappers, DJs, creators, musicians who have sampled my stuff over the years. And it's the ultimate of flattery to hear your song on the radio and it's a part of another song. I mean, I remember the time when I first heard that stepping in the rhythm to Kurtis Blow, who beat the think when your feet just go, you know? And that, I heard it on the radio, Tom Tom Club, right? And I was like, wow, this is really nice, right? So I'm happy and grateful to all the artists who do that, and my hat goes off to you. But speaking about Christmas rap and the breaks, my first two songs, you know, going back to those times, it brings back a lot of memories. That was the greatest years of my life. I like to think I have a few of them as well. Many stories. I sort of think I have like 8 million stories, like the song, but it's a couple of hundred. So one story I want to say about Christmas rap right quick is I remember getting the record deal. Robert Ford, rest in peace, he went out to 22 labels and got us a record deal. 22 labels passed it up. Only 2 labels out of those 22 liked the song. The first one was Panorama Records. And this guy liked the record, the A&R director. He took it up the flagpole to the VP and president, and they turned it down. So this guy, he quit 2 months later. He said, I'm out of here. And he formed his own label, and 2 years later signed Run DMC. And that was Profile Records and Corey Robbins. All right. The second guy was an English fellow. His name was John Staines, over in Mercury Phonogram Records in the UK, in London. So he heard the song and he said, man, we can recoup this record in 6 months. Let's sign him up. So I got the record deal, and believe it or not, I was a UK artist. I started out as a UK artist, and my records came back to America on import. Wow. And I had a funny record deal. It was a singles deal. My first single had to sell 30,000 copies. If I sold 30,000 copies, then I could do another single. The second single had to sell 50,000 copies, and then I can do an album, right? So the first single was Christmas Rap. It sold over 400,000 copies. So I got a chance to do the next single. But before I did the next single, which was The Breaks, that sold over 840,000 copies, man, I remember this one story. I'm coming home late at night, and it's about 3, 4 in the morning. And I'm traveling on the train from the studio up on the A train, coming uptown. I get off, walk around to my neighborhood, which is up in Harlem and on the hill, 140th Street in Amsterdam. So I walk around, I'm coming around the block, and I'm coming up from Broadway going to Amsterdam and then Convent. I lived on Convent. And so I walk and I'm hearing this sound of music playing. You know, back in the days, people used to take their speakers and put them on the outside of their window and play music for the whole block, right? And so I remember walking by this fire escape, and this guy had a speaker outside his window playing this song, and I heard it, and I stopped and I listened to it because I heard it. It was like, bam, 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 bam. This is the way we rock the house. Sure enough, everybody gonna turn it out. When I'm in Keith and it's always Keith Theater. You know, it was the Funky Four on the radio. Mr. Magic was playing it on WHBI. Oh, wow. And I'm sitting there, I listened to the whole song and I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. I felt just as excited and happy and grateful as if I heard my own song, Christmas Rap, on the radio. Because here was another group, another opportunity for hip hop to be on the radio. And I'm like, oh my God, maybe we can have a career. And now I'm talking about, you know, I'm coming up from the studio and I made the breaks in the studio. So I'm feeling great already. I got another song. I think it's a smash hit, but I hear this song on the radio. And it's like, you know, when Sugar Hill came out, they did the show at the Audubon. I was there with AJ and everything, and all of the Bronx was there, from the Furious 5 to the Treacherous 3, the Cold Crush Brothers and the Fantastic 5 and the Crash Crew. Everybody was there from hip hop at the Audubon. And so, but there was a feeling of these guys, Sugar Hill, you know, they're not from the Bronx. You know, even though my Hank was, but you know, the whole general consensus was that, you know, somebody in the Bronx should be out there making records and reaping the benefits of this popularity of hip hop. When I was happy for Sugar Hill, and now I heard the Funky Four plus one more, I was like, oh my God, they made it. So, you know, somebody in the Bronx made a record. And that's so great because I felt that feeling, that opportunity was there for all of us, you know, to be a part of this culture and actually become famous and get some benefits, some financial benefits from the records that we were making. So I just felt generally glad for the hip hop culture as a whole that we had the opportunity to do this. And I felt that night. So it goes on to the breaks where my producers came to Russell and asked him, what kind of song would you like to do for your next single after Christmas Rap, right? And I was like, wow, I know what I want to do. I want to do a song with a lot of breaks in it so the B-boys could do their thing. Because, you know, I'm a B-boy and just wanted to represent like the Cool Herc days, being at the Executive Playhouse or the Evilo or someplace like that. And just give a song that reminds us that this thing, hip hop, is the love of music, and not only the love of music, but the love of the best part of the song for the dancer is the break. That's the time where we go off. That's the time where we start rocking. That's the time where you get burnt on the dance floor during the break, right? So I wanted to do a song that was an ode to all of the B-boys, and a song that all of the B-boys could have, you know, some breaks so they can go down and do their thing. And we came up with the breaks. And my producer, JB Moore, he said that, wow, this is a great opportunity because not only is the break important in music, but the whole contention, the point of view, the content, the concept of the breaks. There's an old song that came out in the 1920s where the guy was saying, hey, bucko, you say your car got towed away and your wife left you and you lost your job. Well, don't worry. The sun will come up tomorrow. Everything will be all right. And it's like, you know, the good things and bad things that can happen to you, don't worry about it, man. Just say, these are the breaks. So that's when we came up with that double connotation. We're having two or three meanings to the word. You know, there are brakes on a bus, brakes on a car, brakes to make you a superstar, brakes to win, brakes to lose, but these here brakes will rock your shoes. So that concept, and it was the first certified gold rap song to hip hop. And I don't want to take anything away from the Sugar Hill Gang, because I got my record deal because that song Rappers of the Lyte was so hot on the radio. Every car, every bus, every train, every DJ, every boom box radio station played that song 24/7 for that first year in 1979. And we were in the studio with Christmas Rap in 1979 in the summer. And the song came out in December 19th, 1979. And the breaks came out in 1980, April, and it was first certified. But the Sugar Hill Gang's Rappers Delight should have been certified, the first platinum. A lot of people don't know how much it sold. Some say 17, 18 million records, which was the largest selling record in the history of music. And so our hats go off and our love goes out to the Sugar Hill Gang as we say, thank you, and thank you again.
Thank you, word. Wow, what an amazing, that was heart-wrenching. The whole idea of you being a UK artist, now that's a spicy piece of information.
You know what? Another thing. Here is one of my first. Now, when I went out to tour, being on a major label, we had major offices in every major city around the world. So I worked the system. I worked the press with Beverly Page, who was the head of promotions at Polygram and Mercury Polygram. So I asked her, I said, I'm demanded, send me around the world. I want to go to all these places. So I went to every city that I could possibly go to for promotion, to sit up in their major office in the conference room. And from 12 to 5, they set up press every day. So I did newspaper, print, articles, magazines, radio, television. They all came to the office, and Polygram was a major label. So they set it up, all the major press. So it was documented all around the world in 1980, 1981. But here's the thing, this is what I did. I made sure my producers, they made an instrumental version on the B-side of every 12 bands, every single that I recorded. And that is so we could actually sing our songs live. We could rap our songs live to an instrumental on the B-side. And that became the norm for everyone else during the first 5, 6, 10 years of hip hop. You know, now you got kids rapping over their vocals. And it's like, to me, that's like crazy, because I remember I was on stage with Milli Vanilli, right? In 1980. And I saw it. I saw them come out and lip sync, right? And the crowd, and it was a tour in Europe, right? And every show they got booed every night. Wow. And I went on after them, and I'm using instrumentals. So they called me, well, at least that's half playback. You know what I mean? Because the audiences over in Europe, they don't play. If you ain't got a band, it's like, yo, you get booed. You can't come out there and lip sync. And so I came back to America, and I was like, yo, we cannot do that. We cannot. Let's put an instrumental so I can rap live with every song. So that's what happened when I went to Soul Train as well. you know, first artist on Soul Train, Don Cornelius wanted me to rap lip sync. And I was like, oh no, I'm going home. Irene Cara was sitting right next to me. And she was like, boy, you crazy. I'm like, nah, I just came back from Europe on tour. I saw Milli Vanilli. And let me say, they were booed every night. I don't want to get that from any American art audience out there. So that became the norm for us to rap, and KRS-One does it now. And I don't think there's anybody better.
No, look, wow, you just dropped a bomb right there. First of all, let me verify a few things. You said, so the breaks, the B-side of the breaks is the first rap instrumental?
No, Christmas rap was. It was called Do It Yourself version.
Oh, so this was the first instrumental on the back, was the Do It Yourself version of Christmas rap.
Yes. And from there, every song that I made, which was a single, had to have. The only one was Basketball, and I was so angry. I had the producers make me a TV track, they call them, you know.
Right. That's what we deal with now. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What a bit of information. What a solid thing. See, again, you're gonna turn this into a 3-hour session because again, we still didn't get to the future, and I really want to hear from Sparky D. We're coming up on this era now after Kurtis Blow, Sugar Hill, Funky 4+1 More, all of the greats. We're really coming now into that Run DMC, LL Cool J era. We're coming into that Marley Marl, Mr. Magic era, in that sense. And Sparky, because you're the woman voice, the woman king voice here. Walk us through a little bit, because you have an interesting take. Not only are you representing the female MC part of hip hop in that sense, but you came in as a battle rapper, among other things, battling Roxanne Shante, but others as well. Yes. Just walk through the competitiveness of the time. And let me say this: what I'm looking at is that when we were coming up, there was an era in hip hop that in order for you to get on, to be a star, you could do an answer record. Like if you didn't have a record deal, somebody like me, or yourself maybe, or somebody else, or Shante, that didn't really have a deal like that, you could always answer a hit record, and if it caught on, that was the beginning. So you had, Salt and Pepper answered Dougie Fresh. I'm answering Shan. Shan's trying to answer LL, and so on. So there was a time here where battling was really how you got on and how you proved yourself. Right. Talk to us a little bit about that.
And when I was young, I would sneak up to the Bronx at 12 years old, and T-Connection and the skating ring and the Fever, and to see Grand Wizard Theodore, Funky 4+1 More, the Mercedes ladies, and I sneak on a train coming from Brooklyn now, coming from Brownsville. And always wanted to see a Dimples D, a Pebbly Pooh, a MC Sha Rock. And when Sha used to be in the park, and they used to have that, the wood police things by the park, and I used to try to touch her. And I told her who I was, and I came from Brooklyn, and she would look at me. But it was when the Roxy's, when Beach Street was happening. I had the okay from African Bambaataa and Grandmaster Caz and Fearless 4 and a Treacherous 3. Grand Wizard was there. That okay, she's cool to come in. Because they constantly see me every day. Who's this half-white looking girl? And she's young and she's coming from Brooklyn. Why she here with the Manhattan and the Bronx folks? And I pushed my way through to be a part of you guys. and they accepted me, Chris. And one time we was at the Roxy's and it was MC Sha Rock, Lisa Lee, and Debbie D. And I was like, oh hell no. I want to battle. And see, MC Sha Rock, my hat go off to the queen, my mother. Because the one for her wouldn't be no me. And see, Sha Rock, I'm not gonna say timid, but that's how she was back then. I'm from Brownsville. I'm like, yo, let me get up. But Pebbly Pooh wasn't having it. So Pebbly Pooh wasn't having it, Chris. And she was like, let me get a shot. And then Lisa Lee, Lisa Lee, she a little thuggish. Back, that's Lisa Queen. Hat go off the Zulu Queen. They looked at me like she light skin, green eyes, and all that, a nice little shape. They was like, God, no. But they accepted me. So then went to Russell Simmons' office. And I just battled everybody in Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan and just went battling, just being there, Chris. And it was the infamous Mr. Magic, the premiere show, the world premiere. And right. That's when we heard Roxanne Shante, her cracky, wacky voice, but it was profound at the same time. And I said, yo, she's talking about UTFO. Like you said, the answer records. But you had to be quick with those answer records because then they'll play out. So right. The very next day, Spider D, the producer, my man, my friend, Millie Jackson said, hell, don't do it. But I did it, took it to Near Records. And the rest was history. And I went gold behind that. But coming up against Big Daddy Kane, LL Cool J, being the only female, at the roller skating rings, battling. Hey, I never practiced for that. That's just the persona and the character I had for growing up in Brownsville, walking down the stairs, looking at dead people, needles, meth, heroin. That's the life that that we lived. We lived in the projects, and that was our life. But not being afraid to go, And when I first heard you, KRS-One on B-Boy Records, I said, well, how did is he getting paid on B-Boy Records? It was rough, but being in the streets of hip hop, just the love for hip hop, my hat goes off to Kurtis Blow, Sha Rock, everyone in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? You were there. You didn't have a record yet, but you were there going through what you was going through, but studying and growing up to be a teacher at the same time. And hey, right now in this era, you're the greatest, Chris. I'm coming behind a Kurtis Blow. You see what I'm saying? Coming behind Funky 4 plus one more, coming behind all of them, Fearless 4, Treacherous 3. My God, that was our life. So I just wanted to be a part, and I was never afraid. So me not being afraid, I wanted more. So I became a battle rapper, but not knowing it was for a time as this, fighting in the spirit. So that's it for Spark.
Wow. Yeah, Spark, no doubt. Wow, that was revealing. You're like, first of all, you represent not only the female MC part of this, but Brooklyn. The early mid 70s.
Yes.
Brooklyn had a mean Jamaican scene going on. Hip hop was going on. The Puerto Ricans was in Brooklyn as well. Going on as well. Of course, nothing like Brooklyn today. But back then, it was a different time. And you're making me thinking about growing up quickly, growing up in those times. Like you said, heroin, it was nothing to see a needle in the street. I mean, I guess in some places today it ain't either, but when we as kids, as we growing up, we used to see that in the school playground.
That's right.
You had this going on. You know what, Special Ed, I don't want to skip over you in this conversation, but I want to jump to Ed OG on that Boston level, because we got Bronx, we got a little Brooklyn going, and regionally that Boston section as well is interesting, because a lot of us, I don't know, Kurtis Blow, if you can remember your first time in Boston, going up there, but these regions, like when you hit it big in New York, you also run down to Philly. You over in Jersey. You up in Boston. You in Connecticut. Boston has a huge hip hop scene coming out of there. Been down for a long time. Ed OG, can you refresh us on Boston's hip hop history? Just, how things swayed and moved it and how we got to your magnificent records. I mean, you got the whole, I think it's Teddy Special K. There's an Awesome 2 connection there.
Yeah.
I mean, just run us down.
So it all started, man, with Boston hip hop for me. My the first hip hop records in my house was the Christmas Rap and the Breaks. My mom's bought those. Shout out to KB, the yellow cover. You could never forget the yellow cover, man. I mean, it's so
yellow
iconic.
And black. Yellow and
so
black.
iconic. So iconic, man. Like, so that was my first record in my house as a young, and I came up b-boying. So I started off b-boying. And then my grandmoms told me, hey, you got some cousins in Jersey that do music. I said, oh, yeah? To find out that's Teddy and Special K. Once I found out about I had cousins in music and I was on radio, I said, oh man, I gotta get to Jersey and start bugging these dudes. So I was sending them my demos since about 86, bro. I was like sending them tapes. Sending them tapes. And I can remember Ted, he was DJing for Real Roxanne. He came up here back in the 80s. And it was just for me to have family in this industry that I was, looking up. I bought your first record, Chris, the 12-inch, with the beatbox version with D Nights. You know what I'm saying? Before the whole, I had that 12-inch. So I was just, a young kid up here, man, in the room in Boston. In Boston, we had a scene. We had a club called The Channel, where I seen a lot of hip hop greats back in the 80s, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. I actually seen a fake KRS there. God rest the dead. After Scott LaRock passed, you guys had a show in Boston. And I went to the show, and back in the 80s, without the covers, anybody could be kind of an imposter.
Anybody could. There was 100 KRS.
Yo, so this light-skinned dude was up there. I think it was Levi 167. If y'all remember Levi 167.
Jerry Levi, yeah.
I think it was him for some odd reason, was fronting as you. He was light-skinned. I had the cover. We knew, like, you not KRS. He got, back in the days, you get hit off the stage, especially in Boston. We was throwing all kind of stuff at this guy. So that was like my first memory of BDP. Like, oh man, Scott LaRock got killed, God rest the dead. The promoter tried to keep the show and brought an imposter. That's the 80s. You know what I mean? So and then moving on into the 90s, like, with Ted and them, once I got my deal, it's funny because the same guy who signed me signed Special Ed. He was working at Profile, Brian Chin. He's the same guy who signed me. He signed Ed, he signed freaking Rob Bass. This is an Asian guy, a house guy with a hip hop ear. So you don't know where it's gonna come from. And I was signed to the Mercury too, Mercury was the distributor. So following behind my brother KB, over there at Mercury. And our scene here, we had a lot of our own stuff. We put out a lot of records. I put out my first record in 87. It was a compilation called Boston Goes Deaf. I was beatboxing on the record. So we were putting out records back here back then. And we so close to y'all. So we was getting all the tapes. That's what you got from New York, all the radio tapes. That somebody would go to New York or record it, bring it back to Boston. And that's how, we was hearing what was going on in the city and staying up on it. And plus, we had our own local radio stations, which was playing stuff too. But sometimes you couldn't get that late night New York shit. You had to get that on a cassette, from somebody who was out there, man. So our scene, we was right there, right behind y'all, man. But, y'all was still the big brothers and we couldn't make it unless we, got the check and the cosign from the city. You know what I'm saying? And when I first came out, everybody thought I was from Queens and shit. Like, you from Queens, because I recorded it at PowerPlay. So they were seeing us in PowerPlay, and we was around by QB. I met Craig G, all the QB brothers back then. So it was just a great time for me coming up. DJ Doc was my engineer. He was also your engineer. EPMD, every classic record that came out of there. You know, so I met Ted and Kay introduced me to the industry, to all the right people. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I got nothing but love for them and thank them for you know, really helping me out and, you know, me being persistent, being on their ass. You know what I'm saying? All the way from the 80s, man, up until 89, 90. Then they finally was like, oh, this one is really good, man. We think we could actually bring this to some people. And the first person they brought it to was Brian Chin, and he signed me. So it was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? So that's how my whole thing started off, man. And Boston, like I said, we always, you know, looked up to New York and Philly in the early 80s, because New York and Philly was kind of hand in hand, you know, with the hip hop, with Steady B and all these guys, all the DJs out of there, Tap Money, Tough Crew, all these guys, man. That was, you know, the 80s was just a great time because it was so much versatility in hip hop, and people were coming from everywhere. So, you know, that's the Boston for us, man. Over here, we just was looking at y'all and trying to, you know, get to that level, man, to be respected, because we outside, you know what I'm saying? In New York, y'all know how y'all are. Everybody on here is from New York, so y'all already know. you know Boston hate New York anyways when it comes to the sports and all of that, so we got our ride.
You know what it is.
All love, though, all love.
No, you know, you breezed over a very historical piece, PowerPlay Studios. Now just slow down real quick. That right there, I mean, PowerPlay must have recorded half of the golden age. Okay.
Of course, everything.
And I'll drop a bomb on y'all right now. Simone over here was the manager of PowerPlay Studios.
Back then?
He was the one. Wait, what year were you there? 88.
Wow.
88.
Take my mic off of that. Don't forget
88.
Spider D. Spider D ran PowerPlay.
That's right.
I met Kurtis Blow and Spider D at PowerPlay, and Kurtis Blow was with Isaac Kennedy. They was doing a movie, and Spider D was in the A room, Kurtis Blow was in the B room, and we were just being the playgirls, and they were fighting against us. And we loved Kurtis Blow. We wanted Kurtis Blow, but Spider D, you know, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, smurfed that body. But Spider D ran PowerPlay. My daughter was the receptionist. She's 34 now. Her name was Special. She was there when you first came in, Chris.
You know what it is. See, first of all, Sparky's bringing up. Okay, see, here we go.
Tony off.
No, wait a minute, because PowerPlay had two studios, had two rooms. The first room was this small room, 24-track MCI board. Small room. I think that's where Spider D was, because we used to deal with Spider to do Criminal Minded when we was dealing with that, right? And that's how we even learned about PowerPlay, because Spider was also a B-Boy Records. So hats off to Spider. Crazy, okay? I don't know where we would be without him. But at the end of the day, PowerPlay had that one room, and we did Criminal Minded in that one room. Eric B and them did Paid in Full in that room. Kane did Long Live the Kane in that room. That room was sick, okay? That's what it was.
Eli Chuba.
EPMD too. EPMD.
Well, wait a minute. I don't know if they did that room. We gotta
the B room. The B room, right?
After they got money, they went down the block and got that 48-track SSL.
Wow.
They got that 48-track SSL. That's when Simone came in. She was working in sales and accounting. And so if you paid your money, you paid it to Simone for the studio. And that says, if you were there from 88 to like 89, 90, Simone was there.
90 is when I started. 90. It was when we started recording.
Yeah, it's when you started. PowerPlay Studios was one of the amazing, the people you mentioned as well. Shout out to Spider D. Tony Arfey was the owner. Let me shout him out as well. What is it? Diane, small shouting Diane. All these people there. But this was a studio that, I mean, hundreds, I mean, albums, the whole 80s, and not the whole 80s, the whole 90s, I should say. Half the 80s.
Yeah, the late 80s, like 88 on.
Like 88, really? 88 on. PowerPlay was the place to be. No, wait a minute. I got to say, no, 87. I recorded Criminal Minds.
I was getting ready. Excuse me.
Yeah.
87.
Yeah, 87, 86. That was so just because we're talking history, for the people listening to us, I just wanted to make a special note of that. NLG talking about PowerPlay Studios. And also it's interesting hearing you say how you came out of Boston, came all the way down and recorded in Queensbridge. I mean, it wasn't Queensbridge. Those that know the hood say it's Queensbridge.
Oh, of course it's Queensbridge. I mean, Queensbridge is right around the corner from PowerPlay.
It's like
when I was drinking
right
40
there.
ounces, I was getting it right across from the projects. Like I wasn't.
That's the realness. And so it was like, imagine you got this PowerPlay studio right there in Queensbridge area. I mean, Nas recorded there. All of Queensbridge recorded there.
Everybody.
Everybody recorded there. And here you have these Bronx cats coming in. You got Brooklyn coming in. You got now Boston. We're hearing now that NLG coming down with Awesome 2 cousins. Learned that you guys were cousins today. And that family affair caused that record. Real quick, tell us about the making of Be a Father to Your Child. I think that's one of the greatest written records in our history.
Thank you, man. Thank you. The whole process for that, I grew up with a single mother. And in the 80s, it was just so cool for cats to say, that's not my baby. That was like the thing. Every person who had a woman pregnant, that ain't my baby. That was like straight off. No one, they wasn't even claiming it. Forget trying to help out. I ain't even got nothing to do with it. Knowing you, did what you did. So for me,
Billie Jean.
Yes, and exactly, Michael Jackson. You everybody was on it like that. So for me, growing up, raised by a single mother, all my friends raised by single mothers, I just wanted, men to take responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Just to be men. I wanted to see a man, a young dude, and the girl pushing the carriage together. Because I only seen women, young teenagers pushing carriages. So, and I was like sitting out my window in the hood just every day, every going out. That's all you seen. You never seen a family. So that's where that whole song came from, wanting to see the black man just, step up, and the Latino man, just the urban man and the man in general, step up and let's start taking care of these seeds, you know what I'm saying, and being responsible men. Even though I didn't have any kids at the time, it was just something that I wanted to talk about, you know what I'm saying? Because I seen it. It was just so rampant, and everybody was all the men, man, were just so evil in the way of the thought process of not wanting to even be involved. Like, that ain't me. I don't even know. Like, it was just a crazy time. And now, that song really changed the perception of a lot of men. Nobody wanted to be a deadbeat after that. You know what I'm saying? The word was, be a father to your child, man. Don't be no deadbeat. You know what I'm saying? And then child support came out and it ruined everything. Sorry to take it to another, because there's a lot of MCs, bro, that, with this Hip Hop Alliance, we should try to, help facilitate these MCs that can't get their passports and make money, worldwide. They're relegated and limited to only performing here. And the courts should adjust that, and we should be some advocates for our hip hop brothers and brothers in general that, can make money outside of this country and not be limited by, having child support. I would think that the courts would be smart enough to say, well, you're going to go do a tour and make money. Yes. here's your passport. You know what I mean? Like, go do that so you can start knocking this down, not pay all of this before you get your passport. You know, so I think that's a real problem. I know a lot of hip hop brothers, you know, that I'm not going to mention names, but I know a lot of dudes in this business that can't travel. We travel overseas all the time. You know, we travel all around the world, man. But, you know, there's a lot of brothers that's limited because of that type of stuff. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed in our business.
Yeah. You know, masterfully said. That's masterfully said, because that leads us over to the future. Actually, I'm gonna call on Special Ed right now because we didn't get his testimony in terms of the golden age of hip hop. And Ed, your rhyme, that record, I got it made. I got it made. I'm thinking I gotta have it. I got to have it, and I got it made. I got to get this whole thing together in my head.
That's a nice mix.
But that's a nice, it might be. But no, Ed, I'd like you to weigh in on a leadership level, because we do have to now wrap this up, and we did want to talk about the future of the HHA in some of this special. Ed OG just talked about the reason for the writing of this record, Be a Father to Your Child, had a lot to do with what he was seeing in the hood. And I just want to commend you on that again, because you said that you didn't even have children. And that's major, because it also proves that Black men in the hood are not just sitting around or running around saying, oh, that ain't my kid, or being irresponsible. Here you have a Black man in the hood experiencing the same thing that everybody in the hood of Boston is experiencing, but chooses to look at it a different way, chooses to mature himself and put himself out there. I mean, because imagine, that could have been seen as corny. As a matter of fact, that point of view was corny. It wasn't cool to come out and say, like LG was just saying, you know, men were just acting like this was cool, like this, and I remember that as well. And honestly, some men still do. But at the end of the day, back then, it was almost like it was cool to do this, and it was dope because at OG you shut it down. Okay, once something becomes cool and acceptable, and nobody wants to do that, I mean, you may have single-handedly saved lives with that record, because I know with hip hop we heard that shit and it suddenly became uncool. Be a father to your child, word, G, word. Even if you ain't see your kid in 7 months, you still sit there going, yeah, word, you know, I need to make that phone call, because you made it acceptable to be a father to your child. As pitiful as that sounds, your point was well taken. And so come back around now to Special Ed, because here's somebody else in the hood experiencing the same things everybody else is experiencing, but chooses to think about this in a different way. Even the name Special Ed, just the name alone. You know, Ed's lead in with this. You got your organization, Special Ed Arts and Literacy. And this is, you know, disseminating knowledge to young people, really anyone that's interested. But the HHA and the future of hip hop. You know, we heard a lot tonight about the history of hip hop, some of the issues, some of the challenges. You know, as a leader within our organization, HHA, I mean, how do you see the future? How do you see HHA's future? Ed OG just talked about child support, and actually not to call anybody's name, business in the street, but there's a few artists, you know, that we know personally that can't get out the country because of this child support issue. And then, like you said, you should be able to at least issue me a 6-month visa, 6-month passport, so I can go get this cash and start knocking this bill down. But no, you're actually stopped from coming in the country, from leaving the country. And so you're just stuck in poverty then. You know, this is my craft, this is what I do, but I can't even travel to go get what I need to go get. It's just a cycle of poverty. I think HHA can look into something like that. That is a cultural a cultural organizational issue. This has to do with our culture in that sense. This is a family, literally a family issue, and should be dealt with culturally. But Special Ed, please weigh in on the future of HHA. What do you think are the challenges? Where do you see us going? What does hip hop need right now?
Well, what we need is just to be honest with ourselves first. If we can face the truth and then we can tell the truth to others, then we'll be okay. We have to stop looking at this as like the entertainment industry and, you know, rubbing elbows, and look at it as real life and what type of economics are going on out here. Let me just say, Elder Kurtis, if they told you you sold 500 singles, you sold 1 million singles in 80 something, 70 something. If they told you you sold 800,000, you sold 2 million. I promise you. So congratulations for even getting them to admit to that. I had to deal with the same thing. They own the label and the distribution and the manufacturing. So they cooking books everywhere, you know, but I think that the HHA now becomes the voice that the record used to be when it was purely in our power to create. When we were manifesting the lyrics and the messages that we intended, that is what the HHA now becomes, the voice of hip hop, because the records have been changed into a whole nother agenda, marketing a whole nother agenda. So the original message of hip hop, for us to unite, empower ourselves, better ourselves, and come out of this economic disparity, is basically, you know, it's apparent. You know, the Hip Hop Alliance has to be that voice, because we can't make those records anymore that get notoriety and get played and send the messages we want. The only messages being conveyed are the messages of the agenda. So we as the Hip Hop Alliance have to be that voice, the same messages and intent that we started out hip hop with and that we were trying to communicate to each other before it was disrupted and reinterpreted and disseminated, you know, with this level of poor taste. Like they're just leading us into all different directions, which we have no business in. We don't do pharmaceutical drugs. We don't do this. We don't do that. We don't go around killing each other. We are traditionally a peaceful civilization. We are peaceful people. We are intelligent, respectful. And one other thing I do want to say is, to my knowledge and to my recollection, the Black women ruled civilizations. The Black women were queens and were respected and upheld. And in today's society is the exact opposite. And they're pretty much placed at the bottom of the totem pole and disrespected in such a way that how are they to lead us as a people or to give us the courage to go out there and take what is ours? You understand? So we have to start by respecting ourselves, telling our truth, and respecting our women. These are the people that are the portals to life, bringing life into this universe, into this realm. They're bringing us and our children into this realm. So if we don't uphold them and respect them and protect them and uphold them as such as we historically did and our ancestors did, then we will never get to where we need to be. We need to understand the hierarchy of life, you know what I'm saying, and reality. So let's be truthful about that and stop disrespecting each other and stop playing each other like we're whores and pimps and thugs and drug addicts, because that's not who or what we are. You know what I'm saying? Those images have been impressed upon us by the media. Even with the, we do have a lot of single families. There's reasons for that. There's systematic programming that has been put in place to, you know, that has a lot to do with that as well. But for the most part, a lot of that is a lot of hearsay too, because there are a lot of, I grew up in a 2-parent household. A lot of Black men are very responsible. A lot of Black men have a lot of pride and are not going to have their children and their women in their dire situations and despair. So yeah, you hear it and you see the stats, but truth be told, we are doing our jobs and we are upholding our families and we are doing what we're supposed to do. But statistically, we will always look like the worst, just like they do to our women. So I just want to say that the Hip Hop Alliance has to stand for us as a people, as the man, woman, and child, and represent us in a way that we need to be seen, and not how the media portrays us, because they're going to portray us in the same way they've been portraying us since they discovered radio waves.
Wow.
Well said. Wow. Well said. Well
Thank
said. Well said.
Well said. Elder Kurtis, you know, in terms of the future of the HHA, you're the founder. Weigh in on that a little bit. You know, we're coming to our close here as well. We want to send our people off with a vision as to what the HHA is all about and what we intend to do.
Well, I'm thinking about intellectual properties, ownership rights of your music. We are the creators. If you sing, if you are a musician, if you are a DJ, a podcaster, an MC, you know, you are a creator. So your ownership of your creations should be protected and respected. This is our vision for the Hip Hop Alliance. We are out to promote and secure the strongholds for intellectual properties. Also, healthcare is another big priority. If I turn around and see another one of our legends pass away because they did not have health insurance or medical benefits to go out and get a doctor to cure their illness, I mean, I'm gonna just fall out, man. It's just a nightmare to see the situation of our legends. So this is why we want to start a Legends Fund, a Legends Endowment, where we have emergency funds on the side, a whole nother account of emergency funds. So our legends who need to pay a bill, or they need to buy some medicine, or they need to pay for a funeral, or even pension benefits are also attached to the Legends Fund. So we are doing that with the Hip Hop Alliance as well. And the last thing I want to talk about is legislation, because that is the bottom line to everything. All of these injustices and inequalities that we are faced with our creators, with our humanity, with our people for over 400 years. Now we are working on the legislation to change those issues, right? So it's very important. Now let me talk about the AMFA, which is the American Music Fairness Act. It's a bill that is being proposed down in DC that AM and FM radio stations now have to pay royalties to artists like Sound Exchange. You know, you get Sound Exchange every quarter. And so Sound Exchange will collect these royalties from AM and FM radio like they do the internet and online events and radio stations online as well. So that is a blessing, a miracle. Another thing is the Rap Act, you know, where courts cannot use your lyrics or your song, your music to be a case against you in court. So that is very important. Jay-Z, as a matter of fact, started that bill as well. There is another bill called the Crown Act, where the way you wear your hair should not get you fired from any organization, any governmental organization, any job. When you're traveling, anything like that, you can wear your hair. You can wear your hair how you want. An afro, dreads, braids, it doesn't matter. So that's another bill that's being passed called the Crown Act. There's another one called the Reparations Act. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but over in the state of California, they are passing a bill where they have to pay over $200,000 and more to each slave. If you have in your ancestry anyone who was a slave, you will get reparations from the state of California. So that's legislation. We have a couple of more laws that we are talking about. Reclaim your copyright law. You know, that 35-year law that you can reclaim your copyright and get your publishing.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that too. Sorry to cut in, man. But yeah, 35 years, man. So it's coming up for me. I know, I'm assuming some of y'all got some records that's already past that time that y'all need to reclaim.
So listen,
it's yours.
So what we are trying to do, or what we are doing right now, is Latrice Walker over in Brooklyn, New York. I think she is a senator over in Brooklyn, and
Brownsville, Kurt.
Right, she's writing the bill right now as we speak to reclaim your copyrights, not only 35 years, but on the 50th anniversary of hip hop, we want to extend that law to 50 years. We're starting with 75 and we will settle for 50 years, which will throw a lot of us in the hat of opportunities to reclaim your publishing or your copyrights, because a lot of us did not make it. There was a time limit to the 35 years, and a lot of our legends did not receive that opportunity to reclaim their copyrights. So what we're trying to do is extend that law to 50 years. And look, this looks really, really good. We also are working with SAG-AFTRA, the powerful, strong union, to benefit from their resources and their education and all of their networking that we have partnered up with them. So that's looking well. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to re-sign with them another year, another 3 years with options every year. So we'll have SAG-AFTRA as our partners again. And we're looking forward to just helping our people, promoting fair wages and fair royalties and strong health and retirement benefits for all of the hip hop and R&B ecosystem for the future. And I want to leave y'all with this. Hey, man, together we are better. I think we have the power when we achieve the numbers. So our main mission is to get people to join the Hip Hop Alliance at hiphopalliance.org. It's free to join. You don't have to pay anything yet. Next year maybe, but right now it's free. So please join us. If our mission is to get 50,000 members for the 50 years of hip hop, and that's coming up. So by December 2023, our mission is to get 50,000 members. So, hey, listen, don't let anyone tell you that you don't matter. Don't let anyone tell you that you don't count, that you're worth nothing. We all are worth something. Let me tell you, I look and I read the Bible every day, and Sparky D, you can attest to this, man. You know, there are so many sinners in the Bible.
Yes.
God used them all. God used a donkey. God used ravens, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. Hey, Abraham didn't tell the truth. He lied.
Kurtis,
You know,
I don't mean to-
Moses
had anxiety.
Moses,
Come on, brother.
had anger management.
Come on, brother.
Noah was the town drunk.
Come on now.
You know, Samson was promiscuous.
Come on. Elijah was suicidal. Come on,
I mean, the righteous king.
You got me standing up, bro.
Oh my God.
That was my mission. That was my word for tonight.
All right.
See, oh, glory to God. Come on,
They all had problems. They all had, hey, what have you done in your life that is so bad that God can use you?
Bless him, God.
You know, God will use anything and anyone who calls. So answer the call. This is all I'm saying. Our future, is we are a God-centered organization. And we are going to make sure our people strive and not just survive. All right? So that's our mission for the HHA. I love you all. And please join us at hiphopalliance.org.